This is a welfare check on Admir's Wi-Fi, also a microphone check. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We made it halfway through the week. Good to have you guys here. Good to be here. Thanks to everybody who stayed up late with us last night and on Admir's Live and dealt with the Wi-Fi. I don't know what we do. I think I talked to Jen this morning. I think maybe we just have to start hosting that and let Admir moderate. I don't know. I don't know what we do about that. Maybe it's a Colorado thing. Maybe Lauren Boebert needs to get some shit figured out in Colorado. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. Let me jump in the VC here with Jen. Boom. Here we're going. But enjoyed it last night. I hope you guys enjoyed it. There was an interesting end to that last night. I don't know that I had ever talked to that person before. I'm pretty sure I haven't. But the way that ended, and the amount of willful ignorance by MAGA is sometimes astounding. That one was astounding. Like just to not be able to answer a single question, and then to just sprint as fast as you can away from the fact that there's no due process here. That was the weirdest part about the night, I think. Like we're at the stage now, like it's undeniable. And so MAGA is left with saying like, yeah, we're just fascist, or they run from it. And eventually I think that's what she said. She was just like, yeah, I'm cool with people having life prison sentences because if they came back, they'd be deported. That was wild. I noticed that too. Who's that lady? Oh, it's Jay. Come on. Oh, the reachable goal. I didn't reset the goal. Thank you. Thanks, Megan. I appreciate that. That is a reachable goal. Jen will fire me immediately, though. Anyways, what are we talking about? What are we talking about here? The Uncle Buck look is driving my ovaries over the edge. All right. Let's see if we can keep it together. It made a new stream again? What in the shit? I don't know, Jen. I have no idea. That is so bizarre. Oh, it's good. Oh, because you marked it private. I don't know. Sorry about the YouTube stream. We'll have to figure this shit out. I don't know what's going on. I may just have to stop streaming in both, Jen. I think that's probably the solution. We didn't have this problem until we started streaming in both. I also want to thank B, one of our moderators who actually put together all the headlines for today. On Tuesdays, it's a long night, and B put together all these headlines for us. So I've got the meat of the show, but before we get to the meat of the show, we're going to go through a whole bunch of headlines, and she's better at this than I am, I think. I've learned that. As a reminder, we are crowdfunded. So you see the gift goal in the top corner there, and then the Cash App, the Venmo, and the PayPal beneath there. We also do super chats. I will read anything that you send me. And please don't get my payment apps banned. We are down a Venmo. We're on our second Venmo, so do your very best not to get me banned. And I think that now that I've said that, there will be plenty of you trying to get me banned now, and look forward to it. Happy Hump Day to everybody. Let's jump right into it. Pam Bondi. Trump keeps saying things like, I have the best lawyers. I have a brilliant team. MAGA keeps talking about how like this is the best administration ever assembled. I think it's probably the dumbest. And I don't say that in a way like, you know how sometimes people say things like, one of the things that bothers me politically is when people say AOC's dumb. Like, no, she's not dumb. She believes differently than you. She thinks about things that you don't think about. There are people on the right that are intelligent who I absolutely disagree with. I think Ben Shapiro is a good example of that. Ben Shapiro is very intelligent. I don't know if he's intellectually honest or not, but he's very intelligent. I wouldn't call Ben Shapiro dumb. I wouldn't call Candace Owens dumb. I don't know about Pam Bondi. I'm 50-50 on Pam Bondi. And after announcing this fentanyl seizure, it's like 70-30.
People need to know. Parents need to know. Kids need to know. This fentanyl, this bus, these 3 million pills were oxycodone. They put this in Xanax. They put this in Adderall. They put this in Molly, the date drug or the party drug, something called Molly. They put it in cocaine, and they put it in marijuana.
All right. First of all, those are some very white people drugs. If we're just going to be honest about that, I think we might have a white people drug problem in this country. I think that I don't know if we're addressing that. I think we might need to address that. Like maybe the problem is not the gangs. Maybe the problem is white people drugs. That could be the problem.
And it is to get you so highly addicted that you can't get off it. 7 people need to.
She doesn't. I don't know that she knows. Also, how would you put it? I understand that. I guess you could lace it in Mary Jane. I don't. Is it colorless? I feel like I would just notice the powder. I guess if you put it like in a J, somebody else rolls the J for you. Roll your own J's. Be safe out. Be safe out there. Roll your own J's. Get your herbal remedies from trusted sources. But I don't know. I don't know if she's super intelligent, to be honest. I'm 70-30 that she's not. After saying that Trump had already saved 2/3 of the that just 2/3 of us would be dead if it weren't for these seizures. I don't know. Every day it's getting closer to she might not be that bright. JD Vance has a brother, half brother, I guess. JD Vance wanted to let us know yesterday that his brother, Corey Bowman, was running for mayor and was on the ballot for the primary. He's a good guy, apparently, with a heart for serving his community. Get out there and vote for him. This is the most half-assed, this is not a very good endorsement. I don't think JD Vance likes his brother very much, to be honest. I'm not sure how much they know each other. He's a good guy with a heart for serving his community. That's honestly not a great endorsement. But because JD Vance is so powerful and because MAGA is so popular, his brother obviously won the primary in a landslide. You can see it here. Oh, wait, no, he got killed. Oh, there it is. Never mind. 2,894 people voted for him. 18,000 voted for Aftab Puraval. I don't know if I said that correctly. Turns out JD Vance's endorsement might not mean a lot. So these two will go to the general election now. Corey Bowman and Aftab. He's gonna need to do some work here. He's got a lot of ground to make up here, but he did beat Brian Patrick Frank. That definitely doesn't sound like a made up person at all. Best of luck to Corey Bowman in his election. And, every Republican in the country now is just scrambling. I got to get that JD Vance endorsement. It's very important that I get that JD Vance endorsement. He could get me nearly 2,000 votes. This is fucking scary. ICE. I don't get what ICE is doing right now. I don't understand what Republicans are doing right now. I don't understand. I do. I don't think you guys know anything about the Constitution. I have this sneaking suspicion. I have a sneaking suspicion that you have no idea how our country is supposed to operate. A coalition of activists warned delivery drivers in D.C. And restaurants of the planned ICE enforcement one day prior. I've heard these reports. I've been getting them all morning. I'm disturbed by them, said D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser. It appears that ICE is at restaurants or even in neighborhoods, and it doesn't look like they're targeting criminals. It is disrupting. She also emphasized that Metro PD was not involved. George Escobar, the chief of programs and services at CASA, which is an organization geared toward improving quality of life for working class Americans, told ABC News that the organization regularly receives tips about planned raids, but this one was different. This one, to be honest, alarmed us a little bit because it was really specific, Escobar told ABC. The organization has run a 24-hour tip line since the first Trump administration. We're experienced. We don't get alarmed by any old threat because they're frequent, right? And they come in all different types and of forms. However, in this instance, they were warned that ICE would be using Trump's executive order aimed at the beautification of the U.S. Capitol. Here's that executive order. I remember when he signed this, just being like, "What the fuck are we doing here? Why do we have an executive order about making D.C. more beautiful?" Well, it looks like it might have been part of this. So the policy to make it safe, they said. The administration will work closely with local officials to share information, develop joint priorities, and maximize resources. They didn't work with any local officials here. So that's a fucking lie. I have this sneaking suspicion they're not going to work with local officials. Task force may, to the extent permitted by law, request operational assistance and coordinate with Metro PD, which they didn't do. Washington Metro Transit, which they didn't do. United States Park Police, I don't know. Amtrak Police, other federal and local officials as appropriate. Even their own executive order that they're claiming gives them the authority, which is bizarre. Because you can't just like give yourself authority over the District of Columbia with an executive order. Looks like they're using that to justify the raids. And this is the real scary part about MAGA right now, is that that's enough for them. They'll support it. They'll look at this and they'll be like, oh, yeah, it's because of this executive order. The whole defense of MAGA right now is literally just like, let's find a loophole. Let's find a loophole. They're just trying. I think I used this from the other day. I'm trying to remember the movie. Oh, yeah, it's from The Big Short. In The Big Short, Mark Baum, they show like a clip allegedly from his childhood where his mom is meeting with the principal of their Jewish, I think, high school or elementary school. And the rabbi's like, hey, you got to talk to your son. He's studying the Quran. He knows everything about the Quran. And she's like, why is that a problem? He's like, because they're looking for inconsistencies. And that's what the MAGA movement is. It's looking for any way to get around the Constitution. And what they're doing is they go around the Constitution. So one of the things that last guest mentioned last night that I didn't know about, if we're being honest, she said that the Supreme Court had ruled that Trump was allowed to ban transgender people from the military. I did go look at, I went and looked at it after. What it actually says is until the court case is done, they can continue this. But they haven't actually ruled on if that is constitutional or not, which is bizarre. It's a bizarre thing to think you can just like ban people from the military for how they identify. Going backwards, we received a notice about a specific kind of operation on how they were going to be conducted, what the pretense of maybe entering some of these small businesses were going to be, the fact that they were looking specifically at food businesses and possibly delivery workers, he explained. The Restaurant Association of Metro DC, which represents more than 60,000 restaurant workers in the area, said that it was deeply concerned by the reports of ICE raids and drop-ins across DC. Immigrants make up a significant portion of our workforce at all levels, from dishwashers to executive chefs to restaurant owners. Immigrants are irreplaceable contributors to our most celebrated restaurants and beloved neighborhood establishments. The immigrant workforce has been essential to sustaining and growing our local restaurant industry and has been a major contributor to our local economy. At a time when our economy is already fragile, losing even one staff member at a single establishment has a profound impact on the operations of a restaurant and its ability to serve patrons. Disrupting restaurant staffing across the industry can create a damaging ripple effect felt immediately throughout the local economy. And this is what, MAGA, if you're here, I would love to talk to you. Tyler, nice to have you. I'd love to talk to any of you. I want to know why this is benefiting you. I get it. I get that you guys, Trump derangement syndrome. I get it. But what's the benefit here? Like, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best to have these conversations honestly with you guys as if you're arguing in good faith. I want to. But I need to know what you're getting out of this. I need to know why you're supporting this. And I honestly, I do not believe you when you tell me I just like legal immigration. I honestly believe, and this seems to play out every time I debate with somebody. It seems to play out that what you really, really like is Donald Trump. And that what you are really loyal to is Donald Trump. You don't seem to be tied to any ideology that's identifiable. You don't seem to be tied to any real positions. Because he didn't say he was going to do this stuff. But every time he does something, you are quick, alarmingly quick to agree and defend it. Agree with it and defend it. And I just have concerns. I have concerns for you. I have concerns for our country. And I have concerns that we have this many people who are so incurious. Is that a word? Is it incurious, uncurious? I'm not sure. Is there any curiosity on your side? Is there any part of you that wonders, is he doing things on the up and up? Because it doesn't feel that way to me. I could be wrong. It just doesn't feel that way to me. Let me actually skip one. Let me go back to, I think these go in order. Let me find this real quick. Sorry. Shit. Sorry, guys. I meant to move this around earlier. Am I crazy? There we go. Oh, it's right in order. Okay. In New Hampshire.
Signing up.
I'll just play it. New Hampshire State Police are announcing a partnership with ICE.
Hampshire State Police signing up to help federal officers with immigration enforcement.
This is part of a program that allows local officers to carry out some...
Let me ask, there we go, because I want to keep this chat going. Folsom Freebird, I appreciate you being here. All MAGA are welcome here. Invite your friends. Unless you're dropping slurs, you're welcome in the chat. You can talk as much shit about me as well, too. But saying he's saving our USA. How, though? This is the question I keep wanting to get an answer from. How? How is this making the United States better? Do you have an answer to that question? Do you have an answer to why these deportations are making the United States better? Because I've got questions. It's not about saving money, because by every measure I can come across, every bit of data I come across, the immigration is a net positive. Immigrants lower crime, they work, they pay taxes, they pay into systems that they can't take out of. I mean, I don't get it. Honestly, if you want the US, if you say you want the USA to be better, why not give these people amnesty? Why not? Why not just let them work? They're already working. Why not let them work and pay taxes? You know what I mean? Like, this is where we're at. And I think, honestly, the only reason you're defending it is because Trump is doing it. I think if we were somehow able to live in an alternate reality where we were not allowed to say Trump and we were just talking about policy, I don't think any of you would support this. I don't think you would support what New Hampshire's doing here with ICE either.
Enforcement.
This is part of a program that allows local officers to carry out some federal immigration efforts. 9 other New Hampshire law enforcement agencies have already signed up for the program. ICE says the program gives local police limited immigration authority, like helping to identify migrants with criminal or pending criminal charges and executing search warrants. Program officials say that it increases safety, but critics argue it does the opposite.
We're concerned that it leads to racial profiling. But even more importantly, we're concerned that the 287G agreements take our local and state police away from their day jobs and force them to do work for the federal government. And they don't give our local police any money for doing that.
New Hampshire Governor Kelly Ayotte says that she supports coordinating with federal partners and, quote, criminals who are in our country illegally and pose a danger to our communities should be apprehended and removed. In Maine,
I've got a question about even that statement. Criminals who are in our country illegally and pose a danger to our communities should be apprehended and removed. My question is, by criminals, do you mean people who have committed a crime outside of coming here illegally? Because if you're talking about violent criminals, then it doesn't really matter that they're here illegally. They do pose the same threat. And yes, those people should be apprehended and removed. I agree with that. I think everybody agrees with that. My question is what we're talking about with criminals. Now, we've done this before. We already have precedent on this. This is wildly illegal. This is wildly unconstitutional. It's been litigated time and time again. I'll show it to you. This is from the ACLU, but regarding from 2013 in the state that I live in. Sheriff Joe Arpaio did this exact thing. Sheriff Joe basically said, hey, ICE, we'll do the work for you. I'll take my deputies and we will go and we will detain people who we suspect are here illegally. Maricopa County Sheriff, again, from May 24th of 2013. 12 years later, we've already litigated this and we're just redoing it now. Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio relied on racial profiling and illegal detentions to target Latinos. A federal district court said today the ruling comes following a 3-week trial in July and August over a pattern of unlawful practices by Arpaio and the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office on immigration sweeps and traffic stops. On September 25th, a federal appeals court confirmed that Arpaio's office cannot detain people solely on the suspicion that they are undocumented by refusing to reverse a lower court's ruling today. So it went through the lower courts, then it went up to the federal courts. Judge Murray Snow issued a decision in Melendrez versus Arpaio that found the policies and practices of Arpaio and his office are discriminatory. They violate the 4th and 14th Amendment and Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Now, I do know that the Republicans want to undo the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Many of them have stated that openly. We'll see if they can pull that off. The evidence fully supports the finding of an Equal Protection Clause violation, said Stanley Young, who was a partner at Covington and Burling. We proved an discriminatory intent through the sheriff's own internal correspondence and public statements, as well as admissions that the MSCO uses Hispanic ethnicity as a reason to pursue immigration inquiries. We also proved a harmful effect in the form of higher stop rates and longer stop times for Hispanics. Even apart from racial discrimination, we also proved that the MSCO improperly detained motorists and passengers without having an adequate basis. All of these violations will now need to stop. And that's what the courts ruled. The courts ruled you can't do this thing. This very thing that the governor of New Hampshire now is saying we're going to do, the courts have already ruled on this. And this is the fuckery of MAGA, that people are willing to break the law if Donald Trump says it's okay. People are willing to violate the Constitution if Donald Trump says it's okay. Like, where are you guys? What the fuck world are you living in? Just say I'm a fascist. You just have to say it now. There's no like wiggle room here anymore. You just have to say, I am a fascist. I like fascism. I trust Donald Trump. I will let Trump do whatever he wants. That's the world that we live in now. I mean, it's the most cucked situation. I like, maybe your dad didn't show you love. He's not going to show you love either. I know he reminds you of your dad. He's tough. He's and it has no empathy. But for the love of God, guys, what the fuck are we doing? Even if you're just like a racist, even if you're just, I don't know if Tex is obviously here because he's already sending me racist messages. Even if you're just like a racist, this doesn't make sense. None of this is a good idea. Unless your only goal is to have like a white ethno state. None of this is a good idea. It benefits nobody. It costs us hundreds of millions of dollars. We lose hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue. We have people who are now afraid to work. So you have businesses now scrambling for employees that want to work, and they can't find them. So we're going to see unemployment go up. The cost of your food is going to go up. The service at restaurants is going to go down. And then all you fucking Karens are going to be like, what's wrong with this restaurant? Yeah, I wonder what's wrong. This is such a simple solution. If you're here illegally, but you're working, you should get amnesty and just keep working. And if you're here illegally and you're committing crimes, you should be detained, arrested, and deported. This isn't even like controversial. But you guys are just like willy-nilly locking people up, deporting people, sending them to jail. And it doesn't benefit you. It's just because you literally have just white nationalists running the policy right now. You just have people who want an ethno state saying like, we're running immigration now. It's a little sick. There it is. Yeah, there it is. I'm helping stop the white race. Wait, what? Does this make you a Biden supporter? Sorry, that sounds condescending. Nobody's a Biden supporter. He's not even running anymore.
I know.
Hey, what's up? Jen?
Yeah, I'm here. You hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
Can you hear me? All right. Well, I was going to do some announcements since
How about it?
Tex can keep crying in your DMs about.
No, he's just
all
saying
that people.
racist things. He's not even crying. He's just
Oh,
being like
right.
purposely racist because Tex doesn't have any real friends. So he shows up on my show every day and pays me to read his racist remarks.
It is sad. Anyways, be better, Tex. Be better. All right. So just to remind everybody, we do the show Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1 Pacific time. We are crowdfunded. So if you look in the top left-hand corner, that's our gift goal. We need support to help keep this going. So if you guys can help knock that out by the end of the show, we'd really, really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. On Twitch, you can use your Amazon Prime sub and use Basis' money. Also, just subscribe on Twitch. We also have YouTube. Just subscribe on YouTube. We also have 4 different memberships on YouTube if you'd like to help support us that way. If you guys disagree with our TP and you would like to come on and talk to them in real time and not fire in comments, how you do that is you look at that Venmo. That is my Discord username, Jen with 2 N's, Dub with 2 B's, the number 1. I can bring you on and talk to RTP in real time, and you can win this lid. So yeah, also check out our link tree. We're on most social media platforms, and we've got merchandise. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all that goes towards looking at that gift goal. What do you call a Viking who lost his boat?
A Viking who lost his boat. I don't know.
A hiking.
Hiking?
A hiking.
Hiking, like he's walking. Okay, that one sucked. I hated that one.
Do you want a different one?
Yeah, we can't leave that.
Okay, can't leave one.
No, that's terrible.
How do you get a farm girl to marry you?
I think, don't you just trade livestock with their dad? Is that, I don't know about farmers that much.
First attractor.
Stupid.
Yeah,
Get out of
there.
here. Thanks, Jen. Appreciate it. All right. I'm just gonna show. I don't even care about that. Actually, let me go here. Trump in talking about trade now. And this will be we'll just go through kind of some of the headlines from yesterday. But Trump's talking about. I think this is when he was meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister yesterday. I'll have some clips of that tomorrow. But this one made me laugh. He doesn't know what he's talking about, ever. Like, if you're listening to Donald Trump and you think this is good, yeah, I agree with this, you might also be dumb. What he's about to say here is absolutely moronic, and it makes absolutely no sense. And I just want you guys to prepare yourself. And the Trump folks that are in the chat, I just want you, if I'm wrong, maybe I'm just a dumb lib, just explain to me what the fuck this means.
And by not trading, we're losing nothing. So we're saving $1 trillion. It's a lot. But they want to negotiate, and they want to have a meeting, and we'll be meeting with them at the right time. But you haven't met with them yet. I have not met with them, of course. You would know if I met. I'd tell you. They want to meet, but we are right now. Look, they're suffering greatly. Their economy is suffering greatly because they're not doing trade with the U.S. and they made most of their money off the U.S. Don't kid yourself. They don't.
Yeah, don't kid yourself with like stats and stuff, right? Don't kid yourself saying that 2% of their GDP is from the United States. Don't believe that. Just believe me. What I'm telling you is that really they make all their money from the United States. So that's why they're not calling. That's why they're laughing at us. That's why they're dominating TikTok, just showing how much better things are for them right now. By the way, even if their economy is struggling, it doesn't benefit you. Like, this is just dick measuring, and you guys are in. Like, no, his dick's totally bigger. The Chinese are dominating this trade war, and it sucks. It sucks to say. I wish we were a little bit better. But unfortunately, conservatives exist. And you guys want to go backwards on every policy. And China has been moving forward for the last 20 years, and we've been having this battle where we've got a bunch of neocons in both the MAGA movement, the Republican Party, and the Democrat Party, and they want to do things. They want to hold on to the past. And while we've got Republicans desperately clawing and scratching to hold on to the past, China's just like, see ya. And now we're in their rear view. And now they don't need us. And that's why they're not calling. But for Trump to stand up here and say, we stopped trading with them, so it saved us $1 trillion, he doesn't know what any of this means. If trade makes us money, right? Like if we're importing stuff from China, that's American companies who import it at whatever their cost is, and then they sell it to Americans at a higher cost, and now they're losing money. So when he says we're losing nothing because we're saving $1 trillion, I don't know what he's talking about. Could somebody help me? Is the plan to just like force Americans to not buy anything? Like not be able to buy anything and just like save our money until shit can be made in America? And then I'll ask again, why is that important? How does that help? Let's just say we spend 5 or 6 years being broke, getting our ass kicked, and then suddenly it's made in America. How does that help? What's up, Jen? Did you say something? I thought I heard you. Maybe not. TechMix says, so being illegal is not illegal? No, of course being illegal is illegal. I said, if you're counting only the illegal crossing as the crime, I don't think that's I don't think that people who came here illegally who are working should go back. I think we should give them amnesty. But by the way, that's a misdemeanor. So like it's not like you're going to jail for that anyways. Mighty Maladu says the long-term growth rate of the labor force, average weekly hours worked and productivity will suffer and will lower the risk free rates on returns. Absolutely. I think you said that when I was talking about what it means if we take illegal immigrants out of the workforce. Yeah. We will struggle to fill jobs. Amy said, just like Trump being civilly liable isn't a crime, neither is being undocumented. It's a civil violation. Great point. I don't know why you just let him lie to you. I don't understand this. I don't understand why you just let this guy every day show up and be like, no, this is really, really good for you. Like, yeah, this must be really good for me because he said it. Also, Charles, thanks for the donations. Charles said he couldn't be with us today. I miss you, Charles. All right. Let's move on to Bessent. Bessent's doing this weird thing. I don't know if he's always done this. Has Bessent always closed his eyes when he was trying to explain things? Or is this new? I don't remember seeing it. It feels like he's like trying to read a transcript that is written behind his eyelids. This is him trying to defend that Trump's like, just have less toys. Just have less stuff and everybody will be happy. This is Scott Bessent. I mean, the pain on his face in trying to explain how this is a good thing. And again, to the Republicans that are here, we'd love to have you up here. Please, I want to hear any of you guys tell me why this is a good thing, why this trade war is working for you, why it's benefiting you. Maybe if it's not benefiting you, how does it benefit America in general? Because I ask this every day, and we're still waiting for Trump to give us an answer. He won't give us an answer on how this benefits us. Maybe Scott Bessent can.
The other thing, too, is this reporter behind me was quite snarky the other day when President Trump talked about the girl having two dolls. And he said, well, what? President didn't take the question, but he said, what would you tell that girl? And I said, I would tell that young girl that you will have a better life than your parents, that you and your family, thanks to President Trump, can now be confident again that you will have a better life than your parents.
How? Are they ever going to tell us how this makes things better? How is a trade war and manufacturing in America going to make things better for your children? How? I just want to know how. Like, maybe I'm missing it. Could you guys explain it, please? You all seem dead set. You all think that he's right. You're all like, yeah, I'm all in on this. This is what I voted for. Can any of you explain how this makes it better? How does this make the future for your children better? And if you can't answer that and they can't answer that, maybe we start questioning, do they know what they're doing? Is their plan maybe not about like making life better for Americans? Can any of you answer that? Let's see.
We've got a new subscriber.
Take the orange man out of the office before you get left with anything. I don't see anything here. You just let me know. Just let me know how this is going to benefit you.
Working class Americans had abandoned that idea. Your family will own a home. You will be able to advance. You will have a good education. You will have economic freedom. That's what we are advancing.
How? Let's just play it out. Let's just play all this shit out. Let's say that Donald Trump somehow wins this trade war with China, and American manufacturing jobs come to America, and we start manufacturing everything in America. Who's going to invest in those companies? Billionaires. Who's going to invest with them? Other billionaires. What are they going to demand? Return on investment. So what are they going to demand? Large dividends. So do you think that those are going to be high-paying or low-paying jobs? Probably not high-paying. Maybe we'll have like some middle-class jobs. At the same time, we're not going to do anything about those same billionaires buying up all the houses and driving up the cost of housing. So you're going to get a manufacturing job where already right now on a manufacturing job salary in most large cities, like you cannot afford a house. You're renting for sure unless you've owned a house for a while. So we bring back this manufacturing. How does that make you able to buy a house? How does that give you access to better education? How does that allow you to save more money? Please, for the love of God, someone explain this to me. It's like me. Your life is going to get a lot better. How? Well, we're going to Taco Bell. You're going to get a crunch wrap. All right, but I don't think that really helps me make more money. None of this makes any fucking sense. If it did, somebody would come up here and explain that to me, right? Certainly. Take a pic says your reason is not very good. Watch protest China. Your sentence is not very good. Watch protest this fucking stream. What is that? Your reason is not very good. Watch protest China. Yeah, that's about right. That's honestly the best explanation I've got from you guys so far. Your reason is not very good. Watch protest China. All right, terrific. Charles said, I said, glad I can listen live today. Oh, I misread it. Glad I can listen today. Oh, thank you, Charles. Fucking A, Charles. Good to have you here. Guys, watch Protest China, please. I think it's on Netflix. I think Protest China's on Netflix. Is that a real... all right, I feel bad right now. I might have made fun of somebody. If there's something called Protest China that's like a documentary. All right, I don't think so. I'm not seeing any. Aren't we? Like, nobody's protesting China right now. The whole world is embracing China right now, by the way. Just Donald Trump protesting by himself on your behalf, on our behalf. Win a trade war with a country that owns $760 billion in our debt. Explain leverage. They still would own that debt. I don't get it. They would still own that debt. They have the leverage. They already own our debt. That's why Trump backed down to Japan, because Japan's like, we're going to sell your treasury bonds. We're going to collapse your market. And all of Trump's advisors came scrambling in the middle of the night, like, please don't do this, sir. Please don't do this. And then the next day he's like, all right, fine, I'm not doing it. What's the benefit? I see that you guys can take shots at me, and that's fine. I love having you here. Just explain how this shit works economically. Explain how this makes things better, please. Does it concern any of you that none of you have that answer? Does it concern any of you that nobody that you're listening to seems to have that answer? It not concerning at all? Just, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're following your lead, sir. Does it concern any of you? I'm concerned. I would be concerned if I were you, too. It's a new talking point that Chinese workers are protesting. Okay. Are there... let's see. I don't know anything about these. We're going to head over to X, and we're going to see if there's protests in China. Let's see. It's always just this. Like, what is this? This is what right. Like, just tell me. Here's the tweet. Situation in China is far worse than most. If U.S. think in the. Come on. In the wake of fueling trade war and declining exports, local businesses have taken a massive hit. The manufacturing in China is at its lowest, and the businesses are not able to weigh their employees, forcing them to protest. I don't know how old this video is. But what is this video? I don't want to get in trouble with this. None of this is protests. These people are all at work. These aren't protests. All right, we'll try again. Let's scroll. I mean, this is top. This is the top stuff. All right. Millions of supporters backing U.S. are taken to the streets of all major Chinese cities calling for Trump to impose higher tariff trade. No. Hold on. You guys think this is a Trump protest? Did that say South Korea there? I believe this looks like a New Year's Eve celebration right here. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm trying to do research. Where's the research? Somebody sent me a link. I went to Twitter because I thought certainly. Now we got Tiananmen Square. That's a little old.
We've got a new subscriber.
Here we go. This is, I don't know, Daily Caller. China erupts, furious workers riot as factories collapse under Trump's tariffs. Turns out this is from 2012. A secret video embarrassed more. This is anti-Japan protests. Okay. Yeah, shout out Daily Caller. Where's these sources that, like, there's all this shit going on in China? Shanghai, protests have exploded in Shanghai. China's financial powerhouse shutting down the stock exchange. Reports claim up to 13 million people, half the city's I think you guys might be getting duped by fake news. You think this is are we saying this is a protest against China here? Bro, this is just tourism that you guys have added music to. The mainstream media won't tell you that we're winning the tariff war with China. We're winning and winning big.
Workers at Shengdi Optoelectronics in Wuzhen, Tongsha City, Zhejiang Province are shouting in unison.
On strike.
That was obviously added.
On strike. Suining Shangda Electronics is on strike, see?
The social crisis in China is worsening, with protests erupting. The social crisis in China is...
No, like, come on. What are we doing here? Why do you guys just believe shit? All right, this says it's the China Democracy Party rallying. Okay. About 30 of them there. This is from COVID. Yeah, I don't know. Tell me, what am I supposed to be looking at here? Where's the part? I'll Google. We can go to Google. Let's see what Google has to say about the Chinese protests. You guys probably aren't going to count Google either, right? Here's the New York Post. Good. This will be good. This is a Gossip Magazine, New York Post. Protests from furious factory workers in China demanding back pay. God, welcome to conservative media where all you have is 800 trillion fucking pop-ups. Demanding back pay spreading across the country. Unrest has been reported across the country. According to Radio Free Asia. Who owns Radio Free Asia? Let's see. I'm showing you guys in real time how to do research, by the way. Funded and supervised by the U.S. Agency for Global Media. Oh, they're citing us. They're citing us. All right. They're citing. Guys, this is not that hard. Radio Free Asia. Why do they call it Radio Free Asia? And it's owned by U.S. Agency for Global Media. Who owns U.S. Agency for Global Media? Let's have a look here. Who owns it? Oh, it's funded by Congress. Oh, this is the stuff you guys are trying to defund, I think. Oh, this isn't even like a... So they're citing the Trump administration is what we're doing? We're citing the Trump administration that these protests are happening? All right. Wang Ji, head of an industry group representing more than 2,000 Chinese merchants, told the Financial Times that they are extremely anxious. Yeah, I think they are extremely anxious. They're in a fucking trade war. 16 million jobs across many industries, according to Goldman Sachs. Let's see if that's what it says. Oh, typical. All right, here's one of the things New York Post loves to do, just so we're clear. They pretend that they're citing their source. Good Lord. Come on, New York Post. One of those things that they love to do. Where did it go? They'll say that they're citing Goldman Sachs, and these links are meant to take you to the article. And where is it? I don't know. Doesn't even link you to the article. God, your guys' news is great. It said protests have increased since COVID. Good Lord. Can we stop? Dude, New York Post's pop-up ads are crazy. Experts have grown fearful about President Trump's aggressive tactics. However, the contraction in China's industrial output and the protests show the president still may have leverage. He might. Yeah, all right, great, well-sourced story there. YouTube, there's Radio Free Asia. Who else is reporting this? Nobody. This is over unpaid wages, factory closures. All right, let's see what Economic Times has to say. Numerous frustrated workers have taken to the streets to voice their grievances about overdue wages and contest unfair layoffs at factories. Oh yeah. So some of their companies shut down. Yeah, some of our companies shut down too. What are we talking about here? Do you see? Like, you guys are repeating a story that people are telling you. That story doesn't seem to exist. Now I've got more questions for you. Not only do I want to know what the benefits of this are, where's the fucking story? Where's the source? When I say it's a cult, this is what I'm talking about. There is no source to these stories. They just tell you shit, it makes you mad, and you go out and you protest. And you go out, or not protest, you go out and you just repeat it. And you go out and you get mad at me. But even when you give me your sources, you give me your stories, we can't find anything. This is straight up cult shit. Chinese yen is up. Is that true? Is that true? I didn't know. I don't really track that very well. Let's look at current yen versus dollar. Let's see. Is that the Chinese? I need Chinese yen. I thought is it yen? Won. The yen is Japanese, right? Let's look month over month. Yeah, it is rising. It is up. Let's see what the exchange rate looks like right now. Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, it doesn't look like it's significantly up. But yeah. So are we sure we're winning? Biden's problems. You guys Is this guy for real defending the CCP? This is the problem. I'm defending just honesty. That's again, this is how you guys get so fucking manipulated. This is how you guys get so fucking manipulated. Oh, you're defending China. No, I'm just telling the truth. And you're upset. You're just like, I will always defend America. I will lie for America. I will repeat lies for America because we're at war with China. I'm not defending China. I'm literally just pointing out that nothing you're saying here is true. Do just accept that the Democratic Party is on life support. Let me just say this for all the Republicans here. Fuck the Democrats. I'm not a Democrat. I don't like the Democrats. I think that their 21% approval rating might be a little too high. I'm not playing the whataboutism game for you guys. But now ask yourself this question. When I'm showing you that you're being lied to, why do you think your knee-jerk reaction is to talk about Democrats? Why is your knee-jerk reaction to say he's defending the CCP? Why don't you have answers? Why aren't you addressing the fact that something is being said that doesn't seem to have any backing? You know what I mean? Like this is why you can't get on the same page. You're just mad at people who think differently than you. And you're being told what to think, whether you like it or not. You're just being told and you're repeating it. I will say this. I don't think there's a conservative that's in the chat right now that can come up and point to a Donald Trump policy that he hasn't lied about to get you to believe. There's my challenge today. Come on up. Show me a time when Donald Trump wasn't lying about something. It'll be great. It'll be a good time. I need some examples of him telling the truth anyways. So that'll help all of us together. This is Tom Milanowski. He's a congressman from New Jersey. He went on with Mr. Wonderful on CNN. And he's pointing to times in history. I think this is pretty apt, saying that what he's seeing right now, this like sacrifice for your country, like give your kids less Christmas gifts for your country. Everything's going to be really bad for a while, but eventually we'll all come together and we'll have American manufacturing. He says it reminds him a lot of like early communists.
When I hear things like investors, the market, wealth, Dubai.
This is only coming out of one headphone for me, so if you guys don't hear it, maybe just switch headphones.
I hear wealth. I'm talking about what the average consumer who is asked to be patient and hearing a doll analogy. Why do you think they keep talking about dolls instead of the basic goods that people need? Tom?
Look, you may know I grew up in a communist country, and what they're saying reminds me of sort of the early true believer communists in Eastern Europe who would say that, look, it's worth being hungry today because in the distant, glorious future, we're going to build this perfect system. And your parents and your grandparents will thank you for your suffering today. And to hear an American president say, you know, it's fine that your kids won't have as many toys for Christmas? Have we ever heard that before from an American president? And, you know, going back to the Canada meeting, the tactics of this, I actually think the most revealing moment was when Trump was asked, what concessions do you want from Canada? And he didn't know. He said, oh, I just want to be friends. What concessions are we asking for from we have a trade deal with Canada. We have a trade deal with Mexico. We have good trade relationships with Europe. What kind of trade deal do you want from Australia or South Korea that have 0% tariffs on the U.S. right now? Trump doesn't know. All he knows is that he loves tariffs. And I don't think this is going away for that reason, because whatever deals countries make, and this is another reason why they don't want to make deals with us, whatever deals they make, he's going to renege and he's going to ask for more in 6 months and in 12 months.
Well, we shall see if that's in.
Yeah. There's no plan here. None. You guys can't explain it. It's just trust Trump. Just trust him. And whether that's you or not, it's stupid. It's a really bad idea to trust people you don't know. It's really bad to trust people who don't give you a plan but say, trust me, I've got a good plan. That's not a good way to run your life. That's a good way to get scammed. That's a good way to lose your money. That's a good way to lose your rights. So when he strips rights from people and says, don't worry, I won't strip those rights from you, you're just trusting him. You know what I mean? Like, my rights aren't being stripped yet. I'm not there yet. I'll tell you this. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about traveling. I usually do a fair amount of like international travel. I got a message 2 days ago from a friend of mine that works is on the board of Planned Parenthood, and they said that on their way back in from the country, they were asked, like, in your work, do you talk negatively about this administration? Now, they weren't detained, but why is that question being asked? And that question's being asked all the time. You can find instance after instance after instance. You had that couple that were Trump supporters that were coming back from Canada, and they were asked about their support for this administration. It's a gross look. I understand if you're MAGA, like, and if you're just in this to own the libs, you know, maybe this is a good deal for you. It's not a good deal for America. Throw all the civil rights stuff aside. Like, you would throw that all aside. Economically, this makes no sense. Economically, it's a disaster. Nothing about what we're doing right now is helping us. And at some point, we've got to get you guys to just do a little research. Like, is this helping? What are we doing? What's our plan? What's the plan in the future? So far, when Trump is asked about this, he just keeps pointing to the $9 trillion in investments, which I think is 7. I don't know where he's getting 9 from. Maybe I'm missing some stuff. That's just billionaires investing in other billionaires. That's just billionaires wanting to make more money for themselves. That's not helping you. And it has nothing to do with the tariffs. They just, every day, they just show up and they're like, don't worry about it. Things will work out. It's going to work. I've got real questions about people who hear that and go, all right, yeah. I don't understand economics. Well, then fucking explain it to me. How about that? Explain economics to me then. Explain to me how tariffs are economically a sound policy, the way that they're being used now. Explain it. Tariffs are fine. Like, if you're going to use tariffs to protect an American industry that is being undersold by other industries, fine. I get that. That's the right use of tariffs. But Trump can't even tell you what tariffs he's putting on people. He can't tell you what concessions he wants. He can't tell you, for some reason, he says a trade deficit is bad, but Scott Bessent says a trade deficit is good. We can't even get our messaging square. The only through line through all of this is, I love Trump. Trump good, you bad. But nobody can explain it. I've asked yesterday, the phone, it's open. You message Jen on Discord, you can come up here and explain it to me. But I think inherently all of you know that you don't have an answer for this. And it's not necessarily your fault. It's you got an administration who's not telling you anything. Honestly, best case scenario, they have a plan that they're not telling you about and it works. But that requires you to blindly trust the federal government, which is, I don't know. I thought you guys were against that. I thought you weren't into like just blindly accepting what the government says is true. It's interesting that like this is how the movement worked. You guys are like, we hate the media. They're biased. And so then you replace everything with the most biased media you possibly can. We hate the judges. They're biased. So that you want to replace them with political judges. Everything you accuse the other side of doing, you're just doing. And you don't mind when it's your side. But nobody else is doing this. You have politicized everything to the point that the recovery from this country is going to be a fucking nightmare. You know how hard it is going to be to get people to believe in doctors, in scientists, in news organizations, in reporters? Because you've been sold this bill of goods that like everybody's corrupt. And so you don't trust anybody unless they throw on that MAGA hat. You don't trust anybody that doesn't say, I love Donald Trump. You don't trust anybody that says, I don't hate libs. And when Trump's gone, like, I don't know how we fix that. That's going to take a long fucking time. I could sit up here today and read you an encyclopedia, and you would figure out a way to be like, no, that's wrong. You're wrong. We're at a place now that just the very fact that you know I don't agree with you politically means you will not listen to a word I say. You will assume everything I say is wrong. And you'll do that with everybody on the other side of the aisle. That's what MAGA has created. It's a monster where you, even in the if the facts are on one side and Donald Trump is on the other, you will side with Donald Trump. You do it all the fucking time. And that's why we're in the world's dumbest trade war. That's why we're getting our dick kicked in by China every single day. Somebody asked about World War III. Remember, Trump campaigned on, hey guys, everybody's so afraid of me that I'll have world peace. We seem to have some problems going on in Pakistan and India now.
Misinformation has been rife since India launched airstrikes on Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir in the early hours of Wednesday. But let's start with footage that we know is verified and authentic. We verified
Let me
this
say that.
video.
Let me just say this real quick. I don't know much about the relationship between India and Pakistan. I've asked if you do know a lot about this. Can you DM me? I'm not super aware of like the history between these two countries. I know that like in the early 90s there were problems, and that's when we went and we fought alongside Osama bin Laden. We were like giving weapons to Osama bin Laden, and now we're here. But I just want to. This wasn't actually the clip. I think this is the live one. This wasn't actually the clip that I wanted. So if you're somebody who knows a lot about that, let me know. Is this the one? There we go. This was just the announcement.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, we have to turn now to some breaking news from overseas. India has launched a military operation against Pakistan. CNN's Nick Robertson is joining us now on the phone. He is in Pakistan, and of course, this has to do with Kashmir, the long-standing zone of conflict between these two nations. Nick, what's happening?
Well, we're only just
Thank you, Amanda.
beginning to get some sketchy information here. We have what the Indian government is saying, that it has hit a number of sites that it says are inside Pakistan and inside Pakistan-administered Kashmir. Now, Pakistani officials say that they believe that India was going to strike back for that attack.
Sorry, I want to just everybody look at Lund Rebel. Of course, these people are going to question Trump. It's their agenda. They're biased. Everybody should question Trump. If you're a Trump supporter, you should question him. This is exactly what I'm talking about. That's the cult shit. You're mad that people question him. You're in a cult.
Inside Indian-controlled Kashmir that killed 26 civilians several weeks ago. The information literally is only coming in at the moment, and we're pinpointing the locations that we're now getting from the Pakistani military, confirming 3 different places that the Pakistani military says has been hit. One is Muzaffarabad, which is the capital of Pakistan-controlled Kashmir. One is Koti, and the other one is Bahawalpur, which is in the main part of Pakistan, that being not inside Pakistan-administered Kashmir. And the reason that I make that distinction is because, as I say, Pakistan was expecting India to strike back. There were levels of the strike back that they were worried about. And their maximum main concern was if India hit inside Pakistan proper, which appears to have happened, that for the Pakistani side would be a massive escalation. They said that if it happened inside Pakistan-administered Kashmir, then there would be a lower level response. But a strike in Pakistan proper, as appears to have happened, I've been told by several senior security officials inside Pakistan, beyond shadow of a doubt, they said that if there was an Indian strike in Pakistan proper, they would respond in a similar way back to India. It's part of military doctrine, they say. There will be no doubt about this. We are now in a position of potential military escalation. We're in a position now where Pakistan's officials have said that they would strike back, of course.
All right. Anyways, if you guys have more information on that, get hop in my DMs. I need somebody who's like an expert on this stuff so I can figure out what's causing this conflict. But remember, the claim was, and I'm not saying I'm not saying that Trump caused this war. I'm not saying that Trump could stop this war. What I am saying is he told you that he could. He told you that the world would be at peace. And the world has only gotten more violent since he came into office. Again, I'm not going to do the same shit that he did. I'm not going to do the same shit that you guys did. I'm not going to play that same fucking game where you blame the president of the United States for everything that happens around the world. But I just want to point out that Donald Trump made this claim that he would end the Ukraine-Russia war on day one, that he would end the conflict in Israel on day one, and that the world would be peaceful. Both of those conflicts have accelerated. We now have conflicts in Yemen, in Syria, in Pakistan, in India. The world is not getting more peaceful under Donald Trump. In fact, the world is getting significantly more violent. And unfortunately, nobody trusts Donald Trump and nobody respects him across the world. So he can't even make a phone call. He has no relationships with these people. They all think he's a fucking joke. So he can't even get on a phone call with them. At least Joe Biden could get a phone call with him because he'd worked there forever. He had developed relationships with people. At the very least, Joe Biden could make a phone call that people would pick up. Nobody gives a fuck what Donald Trump says right now. Nobody trusts him. Nobody wants his judgment. Frankly, nobody wants him involved. But here we are involved anyways. And here we are losing every time he opens his mouth and says something. It turns out to be wrong. All these promises he made, you guys, turns out to be wrong. I 100% trust Trump. Yeah, cult. You guys are in a cult. All right, here's some more of this like cult shit from Sean Duffy and the same shit that Donald Trump does every day. The only rule in being a member of this administration is no matter what happens, blame it on Joe Biden. Everything, just fucking everything. Blame everything on Joe Biden. Don't look inward. Don't even talk about the Republicans' culpability. Here's Sean Duffy. We talked yesterday about the Newark airport system. It's a nightmare. People are waiting like a day to get on planes. Like the lines are massive. The delays are massive. They don't have enough people working in air traffic control. They've got an outdated system. There's all sorts of problems. The FAA has been warning about this for years now, including during the Biden administration. But Sean Duffy, who has no experience, by the way, and doesn't seem super well respected, he goes on CNN to do the same shit that every Trump person does, just blame Joe Biden. Even if you want to blame Joe Biden, could you just tell us what you're planning to do to fix it?
But what Chuck Schumer's talking about is Doge, which again has.
Oh yeah, sorry. So then Chuck Schumer accused Doge of causing this problem. Now Chuck Schumer's wrong about this in one way. Doge accelerated a problem that already existed. So we already had an outdated system with the FAA. They were already underfunded. They already needed more people. And what Doge did is Doge came in, and the Trump administration, they said no more DEI, no more hiring people with disabilities, and no more DEI policies at all at work. When that happened, there were people who worked there with disabilities. I'm talking about physical disabilities who are fully capable of doing this job. There were people who were from marginalized communities. They quit. Trump came in and a bunch of people quit because of these types of policies. They didn't want to work at a place where they were always going to be viewed as hired for the color of their skin or hired for their disability. And so you had a lot of people quit. So there were already problems when the Trump administration stepped in. These problems they tried to address in the Infrastructure Act. I think Duffy will get to that in a minute. So I want to be clear that the Trump administration did not cause these problems. But where Chuck Schumer is right, and Chuck Schumer's a bitch too. Chuck Schumer's just going, this is actually all Trump's fault. No, it's not. It's not all Trump's fault. It's not all this administration's fault. Chuck Schumer needs to go retire and or at the very least, just like shut the fuck up forever. Nobody needs to hear from Chuck Schumer ever again. Just go retire, go be quiet, let somebody else speak. But that being said, this administration is also on the hook for some of the problems, just like the last administration is. And Congress specifically is on the hook for refusing to fund these things in a timely manner. So that's what he's referring to with Chuck Schumer here.
But what Chuck Schumer's talking about is Doge, which again has no play. But if he wants the IG to come in and look at what happened in the Philly Traycon when it moved from New York, they moved it last summer under Pete Buttigieg from New York to Philly. And when they do that investigation, they'll find that Chuck Schumer was actually part of the problem.
All right, just to be clear, this is why I think Sean Duffy's a bad hire. I don't know if you guys know this. Newark is in New Jersey. What do you say? Pittsburgh? Was it Pittsburgh or Philly? I think Philly. Is in Pennsylvania. Chuck Schumer is a senator in New York. And newsflash, New Jersey and Pennsylvania are not in New York. Newsflash number 2, senators don't work for the state. They don't run things in the state. They represent their state on the federal level. So things that happen locally are almost never the result of your senator. So like for California, for example, if you're going to blame the problems you think California has, you shouldn't blame the senators. You would blame Gavin Newsom, right? If you have problems with what's happening in Texas, you wouldn't blame Ted Cruz. You would blame Greg Abbott, right? He's making this mistake because it's just a scramble to blame people. And he knows that the MAGA people know the name Chuck Schumer, and if he says Chuck Schumer is bad, they'll just be cool with it. But he's talking about 2 states that Chuck Schumer doesn't represent, and two places where Chuck Schumer really doesn't have a lot of say. In fact, no say.
Where they were testing up new equipment to deploy in Philly, and because he kept playing political games, that equipment wasn't tested. You'll also find that before they moved the Traycon to Philly from New York for Newark, that they actually should have built out the infrastructure around Philly, so they don't have to pull that information out of Newark. They didn't.
How's that Chuck Schumer's fault? Just out of curiosity, just anybody in the chat, how is the infrastructure in Philly the fault of a senator from New York? I just want to I'm only showing this so you see, like, this is how they play the game. They pick a name that you know. They know that Chuck Schumer was the leader of the Senate, and so they just pin all the blame on him. But what they're saying, if you just understand how the Constitution works, if you understand the separation of powers, if you understand the role of the state and you understand the role of the federal government, you would understand very quickly that what he's talking about here doesn't have anything to do with Chuck Schumer.
Didn't do those things correctly, and part of the problem was Chuck Schumer. So I look forward to the IG investigation about what the real problems were that we're experiencing right now, how it goes back to the games that Chuck Schumer was playing as he was a lead senator from New York.
The Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, we do appreciate your coming and taking our...
All right. Then he goes on here. Is this the right one? Then he goes to Fox News, where he gets a little bit more cheerleading. They're going to set it up a little bit differently. But again, like, is Sean Duffy out there solving problems? He certainly isn't. He's on the news blaming Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer for all the problems that exist right now. And whether you like the blame, whether you think this administration deserves more or less blame, wouldn't you rather just have somebody who fixes the problem and doesn't whine all the time? Do you guys get tired of the fact that, like, all of your politicians just show up every day and complain about Joe Biden? And if you show me a clip of Democrats doing the same thing, I'll agree with you. I'm tired of politicians doing this all the time. I'm tired of them just like trying to get on the news, blaming somebody from the other side, and then walking away. We've got a real fucking problem. We have a problem with the FAA. We have a problem with travel in this country, and we need to fix it. And I don't really give a fuck whose fault it is. But I do know who can fix it, and it's not Chuck Schumer, and it's not Joe Biden, and it's not Pete Buttigieg. It's Sean Duffy. He's the only one that can fix it. This administration can fix it. So could you just tell us what you're going to do to fix it? First clip he spends on CNN. I look forward to figuring out how I can blame Chuck Schumer. What have you done to fix it? Nothing. But let's just blame Chuck Schumer. Now here he is on Fox.
But it's kind of mind-blowing to think about in the Infrastructure Act that passed in the Biden administration, $5 billion in funding was to upgrade the foundation of the FAA's air traffic control. Then you look at the money that goes to DOT, $545 billion over the last 5 years. How in the Lord's name can all that money not give us something better than a floppy disk system?
Yeah, so first off, I know everyone's
The answer is because that money is supposed to be spent over the course of 10 years. That's the answer. Sean Duffy knows the answer. Sean Duffy is not going to tell you the answer because Sean Duffy's not here to talk about how he's going to fix the problem. He's here to blame somebody else for the problem. That's the infrastructure bill. It was a 10-year contract. And by the way, when you allocate that money, it doesn't mean that you have to spend that money. It's the maximum amount that Congress will allocate to this project. But this was supposed to take place over 10 years. So, and that's still in place, by the way. The Infrastructure Act is still in place. So Sean Duffy is about to complain about money that wasn't spent that he could spend because it's already allocated. Congress has already approved it. He could go spend that money and fix the problem. But again, we don't have politicians who ever want to fix shit. They just want to blame each other. And these aren't even politicians, by the way. Let's be clear. Sean Duffy is not elected. He's an appointment. He's supposed to run the FAA. He's just not doing it.
Shocked that the system is so old and antiquated, but it wasn't shocking to Joe Biden and it wasn't shocking to Pete Buttigieg. They knew we had an old system. They saw the GAO report saying it was about to fail. And so the largest infrastructure package, Martha, ever known to man in the history of the world, the infrastructure bill under Joe Biden, $1.2 trillion. They sent only $5 billion to fix air traffic control. And of the $5 billion, Pete Buttigieg spent less than $1 billion to fix this problem. Instead, he was focused on racist roads and changing the name of cockpit to flight deck or airmen to air.
There you go. Blame Pete Buttigieg and then bring in some woke shit for the MAGA so that they can get mad. All you ever care about is DEI. You know how long it takes to rename something? About 12 fucking seconds. That doesn't take a great deal of your time. But this is how they just manipulate you. He has $4 billion. He has $4 billion right now that he could spend to fix this. And instead of taking that $4 billion and telling you their plan to fix this, he says Pete Buttigieg didn't spend enough and he's too woke. I'm so tired of these people. Are we on year 12 of this administration? Every fucking day we got to get up. This is my whole job is to play clips of Trump people lying and explain to you why it's a lie and then deal with MAGA in the chat going, I don't believe you because you're a lib. Just look it up. Look it up. When was this money supposed to be spent? How's it supposed to be spent? Is there still money? And then go look up Sean Duffy's plan. I couldn't find it. There doesn't seem to be a plan from Sean Duffy.
Stupid stuff. And so now, as the Trump administration has come in, it was shortly after DCA, Martha, I started digging into the FAA and realized it wasn't just one small part of the infrastructure. It was the whole infrastructure that had to be built brand new. And so I
All right. Let me read a couple of comments here. Zane says, whenever I feel I've done something stupid, I think to myself, at least I'm not stupid enough to still support the Trump administration. Cody says, if an immigrant's daughter is raped and the police are working with ICE, who does the immigrant call to report? Yeah, that's such a good point, Cody. That's the real problem. Now, like if you have an immigrant who is a victim of violent crime, they're not even going to call and report that crime. And this happens a lot. This isn't like an unusual thing. But yeah, that's a really good point, Cody. Thanks for bringing that up. All right. I didn't even see this one. Let's see. I didn't miss that. It looks like an FA-18 fighter jet landing on the USS Harry Truman. This was breaking. It goes overboard. It just crashed. Do we have a video of it? FA-18 fighter jet landing on the USS Harry Truman. Aircraft carrier in the Red Sea went overboard, forcing its two pilots to eject. The incident Tuesday marks the latest mishap to mar the deployment of Truman, which has been essential in the airstrike campaign by the United States against the Houthis. Okay, so we're just driving our planes. I don't know how common that is. Somebody will have to tell me if that's like a massive fuck up or not. I don't know. Maybe that's built into the price. I hope we had insurance. I hope they had Geico or something. All right. Here's part of that interview, or not interview, that Oval Office meeting with Mark Carney and Donald Trump. If I'm Canada, I'm really proud that Mark Carney is the one running shit. I'm really proud that Mark Carney is the one sitting across from Trump. And I'll just say this, like, if I was Mark Carney, I would not have handled this nearly as well. It is painful to sit and be quiet while somebody just says a bunch of things that aren't true. It's really painful. And I don't know that I'm very good at, in fact, I do know. I'm not good at that. And so I applaud Mark Carney here. He's clearly the smartest guy out of the two there, but I want to show you just a couple of clips. This first clip here is talk. I think it's this one. Trump still just thinks Canada's going to be for sale. Trump is very transactional. He thinks everything's for sale, and I think that the people who support him think that too, because you guys just like mostly worship money. Like, that's the big thing for you. In fact, you're celebrating that Donald Trump is in a trade war right now. You're celebrating when like Elon Musk is worth billions and billions of dollars. You'll celebrate other people's money, even if it's at like the expense of you. This is a group of people who just worship money. They just put these big crosses around their neck to confuse you. They're like, no. Really, it's Jesus, but it's money. Here's Carney and Trump.
They get along very well. They like each other a lot.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. And we have done that in the past. And part of that, as the president just said, is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership. And I'll say this as well, that the president has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
And they have.
That was a good move. That's such a good move. Trump has the attention span of a toddler, and he, just like a toddler, he fucking loves praise. That was a brilliant move by Mark Carney there. He says all these things that are kind of making Trump mad, like it's never for sale, and then at the end he's like, Trump did a great job getting everybody in the UN or in NATO to pay their fair share, and Trump's like, oh yeah, compliment. That was brilliant and true. I think that one of the things that Trump has done that I think MAGA people could be proud of, and something he's done that I think has benefited everybody, is forcing people in NATO, or pressuring people in NATO, I guess, to make sure that they're meeting the requirements of GDP. I think that was a good thing. Smooth by Mark Carney there, though. He knows exactly who he's dealing with.
They have, I must say, Canada is stepping up the military participation, because Mark knew, they were low, and now they're stepping it up, and that's a very important thing. But never say never. Never say never.
Yeah, and he just says never. And he whispers it, too. Brilliant. I mean, if I was a Canadian, I'd be so goddamn proud right now of my prime minister. He went in and he learned from all the other mistakes of everybody else who deals with Trump. Because, again, I mean, look, I have a toddler. I don't know if that's a toddler. I have a child. She can be irrational, especially when she's hungry, or if she ate too much sugar earlier. And you just play by different rules. When you're dealing with a child, you play by different rules. You handle it a little bit differently. And that's what Mark Carney did. He just dangled that carrot over there, and Trump changed his mind. Mouthed never instead of saying never. Instead of being confrontational, he's just like never. After that, human thumb Stephen Miller was like, oh, man, I better go on and deep throat Donald Trump on Fox News tonight. And here he is.
Well, first of all, I had the pleasure of getting to be at the meeting today between the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Canada. What I witnessed was like watching a grandmaster in chess perform. Well, first of all,
Sorry.
I had the
one more time
pleasure of getting to be at the meeting today between the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Canada. What I witnessed was like watching a grandmaster in chess perform. President.
Yeah, sure it was.
first-
Yeah. He's a toddler. You got everybody's celebrating Carney because Carney like knew what he was dealing with, and they're like, "Good job, man. You did it. You got the toddler to stop throwing a tantrum." That's what actually happened. And Stephen Miller calls that like a chess grandmaster. Get the fuck out of here, Stephen Miller. I don't know why they compare it to chess all the time. I don't think there's any shot Trump knows how to play chess. I don't think there's any way. Somebody's. Oh, go
I'd
ahead.
appreciate if you never made that noise ever.
Sorry.
Ever again.
Sorry. That's on me. Amy Lynn said, and if you have issues in Idaho, you don't blame Ted Cruz either. Also said, that's the second jet to fall into the ocean in 8 days. 60 million times 2 gone. Not common. It's stupidity. All right. Did you want to do announcements, Jen, or are you just coming in to tell me not to make that noise?
Both.
Thank you.
Both.
Welcome.
It was an appropriate time for me. Anyways, all right. So if you look at the top left-hand corner, that is our gift goal. This show is crowdfunded. We do this Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1 Pacific time. So you guys can keep coming back. If you haven't subscribed to us on Twitch, please do so. Same on YouTube. We also put out content on a regular basis with different videos on YouTube. So if you guys could go over there, check out some of our content, like, comment, share, all that kind of good stuff. We'd appreciate it. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Turn on your notifications so you can see when we're live. Also, we've got 4 different memberships on YouTube as well if you'd like to support us that way. If you guys would like to come up and talk with Jay and you don't want to just cry and comment, you actually want to have a conversation, how you do that is if you look at the Venmo, that's my Discord username. It's so Jen, 2 N's, Deb, 2 B's, the number 1. If you DM me on Discord, I can bring you up and talk to Jay in real time. You can actually have a conversation if you're
Jen, can you help me? Can you help me with this one real
yeah.
quick? Trump is better than you. Don't be made be better. Trump is better than you. Don't be made be better.
Don't be mad. Don't be mad. Be better.
Don't be mad. Okay. Thank you.
I mean,
okay.
No, am I like the dummy whisperer?
You
Like
might
someone
be.
else put that in ask me. Am I just the stupid person whisperer?
I don't know. Amy.
That might be my new name.
Amy also said, Jay, if it sounds like that for you, you need to shave. She's getting hairballs.
Gross.
Thank you.
Anyways, yeah. So check out we're on most other social media platforms if you would like to check us or check out our link tree. We have different merchandise. Yeah, so Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats. We've got about 2 hours left of the show to knock out the balance of that. So that would be awesome. Why was the rabbit so happy?
I don't know.
Because some bunny loved him.
Stupid. You gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go. God damn it, I hate those. All right. I just want to thank again. This is from B. Thank you for putting this outline together. I am not smooth. I do not know. I don't know how to take pictures. I don't know the rules. Jesse Waters has this thing called like rules. I think it's called Rules for Men. He does this consistently. This is a real news. Well, allegedly a real news organization, and Jesse Waters does this. I just want to know if this is a real thing. I think maybe we can come together on this one. I just need to know if this is a real thing. If this is something that like the manosphere is telling you, if this is a real thing that people think about. I've never heard anybody bring anything like this up ever. I just want to know if this is good advice or not.
What do you notice? Doug's breaking the rules. He's leaning in, like Barack leans into Michelle. Men should never lean. Green lines don't lie. And if you don't know, look it up.
All right. Green lines don't lie. I'm going to look that up. What is he talking about? Does anybody know what the fuck he's a green line test? Okay. Is it supposed to show like, let's see. I'm going to have to log into that. Hold on. How do I do that?
Okay,
Look,
this guy,
don't be a cock.
name is Revilinio the Patriot. I somehow stumbled across him. He's got this thing goes, mental strength is greater than physical strength. And he draws these green lines through men and women. And his theory is that if you're leaning towards the girl, you're a cuck. And if you're like,
I'm first impression here, by the way, shout out CoffeeZilla, the greatest investigative journalism the world has ever known. It kind of seems to me that the taller person is leaning, right? This seems to be a height thing.
if you're standing up straight, then like you're the Chad.
Keep it straight, he says. Keep it straight.
How did you even decipher that? I couldn't even figure out what
Oh,
was
well,
going
he's got
on.
a lot of posts about it, so he teaches
He might have a
it.
class soon. He has a T-shirt that he sells. That's the monetization, but he could have a class. This guy.
So he goes, yeah, this guy, he's beta, totally beta right here.
Super beta.
Oh, for sure.
But this
Leaning in,
guy,
no way.
ultra Chad.
Bing bang.
And he's got a whole thread about it, and it's amazing. Like people like love this guy. So he has whole clips. They are now divorced.
Yeah.
Divorced.
Because of the lead. She saw the pictures. She's like, fuck this guy. This is a real thing. I can't believe this is a real thing. Red pillars, you guys, stop letting these goddamn idiots tell you what to do. I don't know if there's MAGA women in here. Can you just raise your hand? I just want to see. This is only for the straight women that are here. Is this a thing? Does it just raise your hand if it would bother you if your significant other was leaning in the picture? Is this a thing? I'm baffled by this. I'm 5'3", my partner's 6'4". Every pick of us for 20 years, he's leaned in. Yeah, that makes sense. Somebody, no new wards. I agree with that. Fuck the Mormons. YouTube chat is saying Carney's election was rigged. Are they really Canadians? This is why you guys lost. It's body language identifying. Nope. All right. No, not a thing. I haven't heard of it. Okay, cool. We're all on the same page. Not a thing. Jesse told us to look up the green lines, so I did. Turns out it's not a thing. I know that he did the handshake thing. You know how Trump does that thing where he does the handshake and he pulls people in? I know that that's like a big thing. You got to show your dominance. Like, I don't know why all Republicans, like the best advice they give you as men on the conservative side are like, just pretend you're a dog. Assert your dominance everywhere. If you see something you like, hump it. Maybe pee on it a little bit. That's actually not bad advice for people with those kinks, by the way. I'm not kink shaming here. If you want to be humped and peed on, that's up to you. But that seems to be most of the advice from like these red pillars. Why are men obsessed with being dominant? I don't know. It's a thing. It's in the culture. You got to win every argument. You got to be dominant. I don't know. I don't know why we do it. It's a good question. I think it's praise, maybe. Maybe we just all want praise. So if we're dominant, we'll get more attention. I'm not sure. If alpha is being used in your verbiage, unironically, something is wrong. Yeah. Watch while you're sleeping for a great example. Oh, okay. I'll watch while you're sleeping. I haven't seen that in a long time. All right. There you go, Jesse Waters. You said you had 2 hours left. I'm going to jump into the meat, and then I may come back. Let me just make sure there's... that will be... I'll add that in to there and that. Let me cover a couple things. Here's Carrie Lake. So I didn't know that Carrie Lake had been given a position in the administration. Her position is, I think it says in here. What is her role? I don't know if she's over NPR. I don't know. So here's what she's decided now. So Voice of a Nation has been an NPR program forever. I know that conservatives think that it's biased because if they fact check things, and so it seems biased, but that's what happens when you hire a criminal to run your side of the aisle. Like, yeah, like facts are not going to side with you when the guy running your party lies about everything. She, however, is saying that she's going to take Voice of America, and she said, I can ensure our outlets have reliable and credible options as they work to craft their reporting and news programs. And every day I look for ways to save American taxpayers money. Bringing in OAN, the Conspiracy Theory Network, as a video or news source does both. Do you see how they do this? They accuse somebody of being partisan, and then they bring in the most hyper partisan people to replace them. They just lie to you about partisanship, and then they bring in OAN. I call them ONAN. Yeah. Carrie Lake, providing One American News Network to our global audience, makes a mockery of the agency's history of independent, nonpartisan journalism. Since World War II, the Voice of America has provided news coverage and cultural programming to lands across the globe without access to free press, serving an audience that has grown to more than 360 million people weekly. Since March, however, the Voice of America has been stilled on the order of Trump and Lake. Her announcement called the parent agency a giant rot and burden to the American taxpayer. This is goddamn propaganda. I don't know how to tell you this anymore in any more clear words. Like, they're taking a propaganda news network and they're making that propaganda news network the government's news network. They're silencing the voices that criticize them while you guys clap. And then they're replacing them with news organizations who will never tell you the truth. They will never. OAN has 0 times ever reported negatively against Donald Trump. That's a fucking problem. I don't know why you guys are, I honest to God, I don't know why you guys are cool with this. This is why it has to be a cult. It just has to be a cult. You look at, they're literally running like a propaganda arm. They're silencing all the voices against them. They're doing mass deportations. They're putting people in concentration camps. They're doing so without due process. And you guys are just sitting there like, this is what we voted for. Okay. But I'm old enough to remember sitting on TikTok after the election, after they called the election, and I sat there and I just took it from MAGA people all day. And they're like, the reason that you guys lost is because you called us fascists. That's what every single person said. Without fail, every person that came up that night said, you lost because you kept calling us fascists, and we're not fascists. But now you're doing fascism. And when I say that you're fascists, you're like, yeah, we're fascists. So I think you might, I don't think that you're wrong, that maybe that's why we lost. But you guys were lying. You were lying about being fascist, and you needed to trick the non-fascists into voting with you. So you used really divisive issues. You lied like, oh, they're eating the pets. Trans people are taking over the world. They're trying to turn your kids trans. You took these really divisive issues. You lied about the issues. You got everybody worked up into a hysteria so that they would go along with fascism. And now here we are. And most of those people, like the ones that just went along, they're not super happy right now. They're distancing themselves. But you guys are just like, yeah, this is what we were doing. We tricked you motherfuckers into fascism. This is fascism. There's no way around this. You cannot deport people without due process and put them in concentration camps and go around with the federal government just arresting people on this idea that they might be here illegally. And then have a propaganda arm. And now we have 2 separate press hearings every day. We have the press hearing with journalists, and then we have the press hearing that is filled with literal paid propagandists. Paid propagandists get their own press briefing from the Trump White House every single day. Every day. This has never happened in this country. It's sick. And the only reason you support it is because you just love Trump and you can't let go of that. And I'm just going to keep saying it's a cult every day. And again, come up here, explain how the Democrats are in a cult. It's just not true. Republicans were not a cult before. They're a cult now. You have to have a unifying figure in order for it to be a cult. We don't even have anybody we can't even agree. We have no unifying figure. We by definition cannot be an adult. There's no through line of belief system. The only element that would be cult-like is the people who say vote blue no matter who. And that's just saying, like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just lazy. I'm just going to vote blue no matter who always because I'm just lazy. That's different. This is culty shit. The statues, the shirts, the merch, the people in here that are like, literally, I voted for Trump. I love Trump. Trump 2028. Every day I beg you guys to come up here and give me, explain this to me. And none of you will do it. You just sit in the chat and tell me how great Trump is. Jumar says, I request for the for the noise. Oh, I request for the noise again. All right, Jumar, there'll be a time. You're a paid propagandist for the left. No, I'm not. You can see who pays me. Literally, there's a record here of who pays me. We are crowd-funded. By the way, just so that we're fair, there are people on the left who are paid propagandists. That doesn't mean that they're in a cult. But they do exist, and I don't like them. And I've got some stuff coming up probably soon. I've got my hands on some records of lefties who are getting paid, who are lying about how they get paid. People on the left who do fundraisers, and then they get a percentage of that, but they never tell anybody that they're keeping a percentage of that for themselves. So I agree with that, but that's why we're crowdfunded. I don't care what any opposition has to say. Well, how could you find that out if you didn't come up here, Sierra? How would you ever know? I'll give you guys, Jen gets mad at me. I'll give you guys an hour. I'll give you 2 hours to talk. Everybody on Mars side gets mad at me because I let you guys talk too much. But I think that you don't have I don't think you have any explanation for what's going on. I think that most of you right now are in a holding pattern. You're sitting there waiting for this to make sense. And you're not quite willing to be like, this doesn't make sense yet. You keep thinking that one of these days Trump's going to come out and he's going to explain it and we're all going to be like, oh, there it is. And then you'll be like, I told you, motherfuckers. But you don't know. So even if Trump does have a plan, you just trusting him is just evidence of a cult mentality. And once again, just want to point out, nobody in a cult ever knows that they're in a cult. You don't find out you're in a cult until you're out of the cult. Just gonna skip that one. Gonna skip that one. Gonna skip that one. Let's go. Skip that one. All right, this I do want to cover. So this is a memo that circulated under the Trump administration. It's now been declassified. This is from the National Intelligence Council. This is what our federal government thinks about Tren de Aragua. Now remember, Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act requires him to say that Tren de Aragua is acting at the behest of the Venezuelan government, that they are doing the bidding of the Venezuelan government. It can't just be that they are violent criminals or that they are in a gang. In order to invoke the Alien Enemies Act, you have to be able to say that the Venezuelan government is in on this. And that's why Trump lost the court case. And that's why the Supreme Court said 9-0, bud. You can't use this. You can't use it because you don't have any evidence backing up what you say. I just want to show a couple things. TDA formed around 2007 in the Tocaron prison located in Aragua State, Venezuela, which served as the initial base of operations. The group's senior founders and probable core leaders are Hector Guerrero, Nino Guerrero, Johan Romero, Johan Patrica, Larry Alvarez Nunez, and Larry Changa. TDA and other Venezuelan organized criminal groups have spread to other countries, aided by the movement of the larger body of Venezuelan migrants to Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Trinidad and Tobago, and the United States in particular. Nicaragua and Panama have also reported encountering TDA affiliates. From 2021 to 2024, there was a spike in Venezuelan encounters at the U.S.-Mexico border in which some TDA members could have been present, as they have generally moved with Venezuelan migrant communities and profit from human trafficking and migrant smuggling. The small size of TDA's cells, its focus on low-skill criminal activities, and its decentralized structure make it highly unlikely that TDA coordinates large volumes of human trafficking or migrant smuggling. Remember, this is our intelligence here. The Maduro regime leadership probably sometimes tolerates TDA's presence in Venezuela, and some government officials may cooperate with TDA for financial gain. Instances of regime officials' cooperation with various armed and criminal groups, such as Colombia's National Liberation Army or Los Colectivos, have been ad hoc and reportedly driven by the regime's desire for help controlling territory or deterring a perceived threat of invasion or for individual financial gain. The important part to remember there is that what they said is Maduro regime probably sometimes tolerates TDA's presence. Probably sometimes tolerates. You can find this in our Discord, by the way. If you're not a member of the Discord, it's free. You can join. Everything that I show on the show, we post in the Discord, so you can get it there. But this was from Politico. They got it. So if you want to search Politico, Venezuela examining regime ties to Tren de Aragua, that'll probably pull it up for you. let's see. Skip that. Where was I? The Maduro regime generally does not impede illegal armed and criminal groups from operating in Venezuela, but it does combat and seek to contain them when it fears they could destabilize the regime or when corrupt deals sour. Venezuela's security services lack the capacity to fully control the Venezuelan territory, giving the regime an interest in cooperating with armed groups for insight and control in areas outside the service's traditional areas of operations. Some mid to low level Venezuelan officials probably profit from TDA's illicit activities, according to a blacked out source and press reporting. For example, local military officials have alerted other armed and criminal groups conducting aerial drug shipments to Venezuelan Air Force patrols and might have alerted TDA leadership of a planned raid in 2023 against the prison that was its base of the operations. Again, the important part is some low-level Venezuelan officials probably, not certainly, but probably profit from their activities. While Venezuela's permissive environment enables TDA to operate, the Maduro regime probably does not have a policy of cooperating with TDA and is not directing TDA movement to and operations in the United States. The IC bases this judgment on Venezuelan law enforcement actions, demonstrating the regime treats TDA as a threat, an uneasy mix of cooperation and confrontation rather than top-down directives, characterizing the regime's ties to other armed groups, and the centralized makeup of TDA that would make such a relationship logistically challenging. Furthermore, most of the IC judges and intelligence indicating that regime leaders are directing or enabling TDA migration to the United States is not credible. Is not credible and would need redacted reporting, redacted, and corroborated, redacted. While FBI analysis agree with the above assessment, they assess some Venezuelan government officials facilitate TDA members' migration from Venezuela to the United States and use members as proxy in Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and the United States to advance what they see as Maduro's regime's goal of destabilizing governments and undermining public safety in these countries based on DHS and FBI reporting as of 2024. Venezuelan intelligence, military, and police services view TDA as a security threat, and they operate against it in ways that make it highly unlikely the two sides would cooperate in a strategic or consistent way. In late January, the least two Venezuelan National Guard units arrested TDA members in Venezuela in separate operations. Since at least 2016, Venezuelan security forces have periodically engaged in armed confrontations with TDA, resulting in killing some TDA members, according to, again, those are blacked out. The IC has not reserved the regime directing TDA, including to push migrants to the United States, which probably would require extensive blank coordination and funding between the regime entities and TDA leaders. The IC also recognizes the regime appreciates migration as a safety valve, allowing discontented Venezuelans to leave. U.S. border encounters of Venezuelan nationals have decreased since January because of migrant perceptions of new U.S. enforcement policies. Since late January, border encounters have plummeted more than 80%, according to whoever, reaching the lowest level in decades. This is a problem for the Trump administration. Because Trump is, and this is why the courts ruled, that you don't have the authority to use the Alien and Enemies Act because a foreign government is not invading, they are not attacking. In fact, even the stuff that they talk about all the time with the drug running and the human trafficking, it says in their own intelligence that there's very little evidence that they do much of that. And that most of it is done on a very low, very small criminal scale. Hell yeah, go Trump. There we go. There we go. There's the cult. This is the Trump administration's, this is our government's intelligence telling us. The Trump administration has read this. They've been briefed on this. They were told that none of this stuff was happening. And then they went out to the American people and they lied. And they said, oh, this is the Venezuelan government. They're attacking us. And they lied so that they could go take people and lock them up without due process. It's a problem. And yet, as we witnessed last night, you try and tell a Trump supporter this, you try and tell a MAGA person this, and all they'll say, and what you guys are going to do here is like, I don't care. I don't care. They're in a gang. They got to go. You don't know if they're in a gang. But again, there's a constitution for a reason. And the Constitution says the president can't just do this. And the Constitution says it's the court's job to check the president. And so the courts checked the president, and they said, you can't do this. And the president said, I don't give a fuck. And you guys said, I don't give a fuck. And so now we don't have a Constitution. It doesn't matter anymore. The Constitution legitimately does not matter anymore. Unless Republicans are willing to impeach Donald Trump, the Constitution is now irrelevant for this administration. They will just tell the Supreme Court, no, thank you. They'll do whatever they want, and then they'll just say, no, thank you. And I don't have a whole lot of courage that Republicans have a spine. And I don't have a whole lot of courage that the Republicans in this chat have much of a brain. You cannot be somebody who sees the facts as they are and also be a racist white nationalist. You cannot be a person who's like, go home, immigrants, and also see and also see this like we're a country of laws, and then ignore the fact that we're not following the law. The Supreme Court is saying you're breaking the law, and you guys are cool with it. You hired a felon. Now he's breaking the law in front of your face, and you're upset that people committed misdemeanors by crossing the border illegally. That's what upsets you. It doesn't hurt you one bit. Illegal immigration is a net positive. Let's just be honest. It's a net positive. It's a net positive on the economy. It's a net positive on crime. It is a net positive in virtually every way, except for that some of you think that brown people are icky. And I want to say this to like my friends in the Hispanic community who are MAGA supporters. When's it you? What if they decide that? What if this administration decides? Yeah, I know you came here. I know you came here. You went through the process. You got a green card. You got your citizenship. But we've decided that the people who gave you your green card should not have given you your green card, and so we're going to revoke your citizenship. We've just decided we don't want you here anymore. And the Supreme Court rules you can't do that. And then Trump just takes you and your family and ships you off. And the Supreme Court says, bring them back. And Trump says, no. That's where we're at right now. We're at a place where the Constitution no longer works. If Trump can tell the Supreme Court no, the Constitution's dead. It's just dead. And for anybody, somebody said veterans despise Trump. For anybody who took an oath of office to defend our country against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to support the Constitution, where the fuck are you? If you are still supporting this, please throw away your uniform. We're not interested in you anymore. You've already violated your oath. Throw it away. Not interested anymore. You'll fight for Trump. You took an oath to the Constitution and now you're fighting for the person breaking the Constitution? Kindly fuck off. Kindly. Very kindly. Go somewhere else, please. If we don't stop this, you guys are going to live in a fascist dictatorship. You're going to raise your kids in a fascist dictatorship. And I just want to look, you love saying, oh, communism never works. Socialism doesn't work. Show me when a fascist dictatorship has worked. Show me a time where an administration kicked shit off with mass deportations and concentration camps, and that didn't end in a disaster. I'll wait. Just show me one. Yeah, I am invoking military personnel to side with illegal immigrants over the president. You're fucking right I am. Because the Constitution gives illegal immigrants due process. Crazy, huh? Crazy. I'm just not racist, right? That's it. I was born here, so I got to enjoy the benefits of being born here. I didn't do anything. My parents fucked in a Dairy Queen parking lot, and then here I am. I didn't do anything special, but the Supreme Court's ruled time and time again that they have due process. So when you say things like you're telling our military to stand with them, yeah, I'm telling the military to stand with the Constitution, who has ruled that people have due process. That's what I'm ruling, or that's what I'm saying. So yeah, if you see somebody that is not getting due process, great. Military should stand with them. The military should stand with Abrego Garcia. Somebody who came here illegally, was ordered to be deported, then had an order to have that deportation stayed. And when that order of deportation was removed, Abrego Garcia had the right for 30 days to appeal, and he was not given that right. So it doesn't matter that he came here illegally. It doesn't matter that he was charged with crimes. It doesn't matter that stay order was revoked. What matters is that there is due process owed and due process not given. And if you are a person who served this country and you are advocating that due process not be given, then you are a person who is a threat to the Constitution, just like Trump, just like MAGA. And it's fine if you guys had been honest about it the whole time. Like, you know what we really don't like is the Constitution. And so we're voting for Trump so he will get rid of the Constitution. But you don't get to be both. You don't get to be, I love the Constitution and I love taking away due process. You can't do both of those things. Due process is part of the Constitution. The Constitution is an all or nothing. And if you want the Constitution amended, that's got to go through Congress. We're not doing that. That's true. Yes, Yvonne.
Yeah.
Hey.
You have someone who's looking to chat with you.
Oh, hot damn.
But before we do that, I want to remind everybody, because sometimes these conversations can go longer. Just want to remind everybody that we still have about an hour and a half left to knock out the gift goal. MO, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats all go towards doing that. And I didn't say this to Jay. Just you guys are both Jays. How cute. Jay and Jay. Other Jay, this RTP matches energy. So
I do,
nice,
man.
nice.
I do. That's true. Katrina said that noise you made me moist. Thank you. Thanks, Katrina. I appreciate that. Jen's gonna yell at you now. Take that, Katrina. You don't want to be on that side. You don't want to be on the side of getting the wrath of Jen. All right, they're over there now. You said, Jen?
Yeah, I'll drag over.
Okay, thanks. What's up, Jay? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. She was talking, so I was finished.
All good, brother. What's on your mind? Oof, your internet connection's a little choppy. I don't know if you're on Wi-Fi or need to switch off it.
Yep, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that's a little better.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no,
Is this Admir? Your internet's I don't know. Now it's bad again. Do you want to switch off the Wi-Fi or turn on the Wi-Fi? We still there? Did we lose you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, that sounds way better. Whatever you did, that sounds a lot better.
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. What's on your mind?
It's a little delayed. That's why I think we're having a little problem. It's like delayed a little bit.
Okay. I'll try and be patient with
Yeah,
the
I just
delay.
took it off.
What's on your mind, Jay?
I turned the Wi-Fi off. It's off.
Okay. What's on your mind, bud?
So anyway, I was hearing a little bit about your conversation.
But I don't know, man. We got to find a different spot. Your internet is just crashing out. I only pick up like every 3 or 4 words. Do you want to? Oh, we lost him. Now he's gone. All right, Jen. If he comes back, drag me in there, will you? Or just let me know. Go back to this. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, definitely on Admir's internet over there. Thank you, by the way, for all the new subscribers. It's good to have you. Good to have you here. I hope you enjoy it. All right, I want to show you this. This is from reporting from ProPublica. I think one of the things that's a little frustrating to me is that it seems to be that we'll report something, we'll talk about something, and then about 3 months later, regular news organizations will get a hold of it. That seems to be the case here with ProPublica as well. It seems to me that a lot of news organizations are just now discovering that Trump is running like multiple scams, like Ponzi scheme scams. This is about, however, a Doge worker. So this is whatever his name is, Gavin Klieger, right here. This guy, he works for Doge. Last month, a Doge aide at the nation's consumer watchdog agency was told by ethics attorneys that he held stock in companies that employees are forbidden from owning, and he was advised not to participate in any actions that could benefit him personally, according to a person familiar with the warning. But days later, court records show Gavin Klieger, a 25-year-old software engineer who has been detailed to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau since early March, went ahead and participated in mass layoffs at the agency anyway, including the firings of the ethic lawyers who had warned him. They just fired the lawyers that warned him of the ethics violations. As ProPublica previously reported, Klieger owns as much as $365,000 worth of shares in Apple, Tesla, and 2 cryptocurrencies, according to his public financial report. Investments in those businesses are off limits to employees since the Bureau can regulate them. A further review now shows that he's invested even more in companies that are on the agency's prohibited holdings list. Klieger also disclosed owning as much as $350,000 worth of stock in Google's parent company, Alphabet Inc., Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, and the Chinese e-commerce company Alibaba. Experts say a defanged and downsized consumer watchdog is unlikely to aggressively regulate those and other companies, freeing them of compliance costs and the risk associated with examinations and enforcement actions. That in turn could boost their stock prices and benefit investors like Klieger. This was one of the most transparently corrupt things that was going on as Trump came into office. As soon as Trump won and you started seeing money pour in from Google, from Apple, from Amazon, from, I don't know if Microsoft gave him money or not, I can't remember. We talked about it. And we talked about it because of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And I know the MAGA in here, you guys watch Joe Rogan, so you may be familiar with when both Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Andreessen went on and talked about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And if you don't remember, it might ring a bell by me telling you that they said that it was Elizabeth Warren's brainchild, and it was an agency that she ran. And basically what it was there to do, in Mark Andreessen's word, was to terrorize and debank conservatives. Now, that's not true. It was Elizabeth Warren's idea to start the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It was passed bipartisanly, and it was passed because of all the corrupt dealings of banks after the 2008 financial crisis. And so what the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was put in place to do is make it so that you and I, people who don't have the money to hire lawyers like Chase might have, JP Morgan's got a team of lawyers all the time. I don't have money, but if Chase fucks me over, I can't really afford to sue them. So the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was a place I could go, and they would do the investigation for me, and they would talk to Chase, and they would settle disputes. They say they clawed back tens of billions of dollars to consumers, money that was stolen by big banks or deceptively taken by big banks. And the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau clawed back. I think it was for every dollar spent on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, like $8 was returned to the American people. It was a great program. But Andreessen and Zuckerberg and Elon and probably Google, they all have a plan. They all have the same plan. And they've had this plan for decades now. They want to take their social media companies and they want to turn them into payment processors. They want tons of financial transactions to occur on their platform because they get a fee. So the more money that moves back and forth on their platform, they get a fee. And that in and of itself is not necessarily a problem. You can do that. But we have the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission. We have the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. We have agencies who monitor this, and there are certain rules that you have to follow. And some of those rules, there are regulatory burdens that make it so somebody like Facebook or Google or Twitter would probably have to spend a lot of money in order to become a payment processor, and they don't want to spend that money. So what they did is they went around and they lied about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and what its role was. Even though the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau had, I think, 280 open cases against Elon Musk, hundreds of cases against Google, against Facebook, and they went around and they said that these people are just debanking conservatives. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau doesn't debank people. In fact, they keep people from being debanked. It's the exact opposite of what these billionaires told you on Joe Rogan, unchecked, by the way. Joe Rogan didn't even try to fact check them. And you guys probably just went along believing that what they were saying was true. And now they've gutted the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and they did it with their own employees, people who worked for these tech giants. They brought in their own teams, and they removed all the parts of the government that can stand in the way of them scamming people. So now we don't have the protections. The protections that we were granted when everybody agrees the big banks took advantage of us after 2008. Everybody agrees with that. So we put protections in place with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and now these billionaires who want access to more of your money but don't want the government to be able to tell them what they can and can't do with your money or what they can and cannot charge with your money, they just got rid of those agencies. So that's what we're talking about right now. These guys are doing the bidding of billionaires, and it is every person in this chat loses. You all lost protection. All of your money online is less secure. All of your money everywhere, unless you got gold buried in your backyard. Any money that is you can access online, it is at more risk now than it was before Trump came into office. And the chances of you getting it back are almost gone now because they're just removing these regulations right and left. And why are they doing it? They're doing it because these people paid them to do it. And Donald Trump is a sellout. He's taking money, he's telling you that he's doing this for you, and he's just doing the bidding of big businesses. We were on this 3 months ago. And it's just now getting mainstream. And that's why I think like going forward, it's going to be a tough road ahead for you MAGA folks. Because the stuff we've been saying for months, everybody else is starting to figure out now. And they have sources. I didn't have sources, right? I was just guessing at that point. What are they doing? Why is Mark Andreessen, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, why are they all lying about what the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is? And I hypothesized that they were lying so that none of you would care when they removed it, when they gutted it. And then they removed the inspector generals who are to investigate all of this. That was my guess. It turns out I was right. And all this stuff now is exposed. And I would just add, MAGA, how does this help you? What's the benefit here for you? Yes, they help stop predatory fees. Good point. And what's like one of the only things Republicans have done in Congress? Introduce legislation to make it so the banks can charge whatever the fuck they want for overdraft fees. Where's the stuff for you? Tell us about Pelosi stealing. Pelosi hasn't stolen any money. Pelosi's probably guilty of insider trading, and she should be investigated for that, but that's not stealing, right? But there you go. There's your whataboutism. See what I can do? Nancy Pelosi should not be in office. Nancy Pelosi is almost certainly insider trading, along with a bunch of members in Congress. Now tell me about a crime that Trump committed. Tell me about Trump running 2 Ponzi schemes right now. I'll get to that in a second. Tell me about his 34 felonies. No. You don't care about crime. This is why it's a goddamn cult. I'm telling you about a crime that's being committed, and you're just like, what about Nancy Pelosi? Experts said, let's see, Richard Briffault, a government.
Okay.
Oh, hey, are we back?
We're going to try round 2.
All right. Let me finish this part real quick. Jay, I'll be with you in just a second. Richard Briffault, a government ethics expert at Columbia Law School, said the fact that Klieger was warned not to take any actions that could benefit him personally showed that he's on notice and that this is a problem, as opposed to doing this by accident or unintentionally. All right, that's all I had. I'll cover more of that tomorrow. All right, Jay, let's try this again. All right, Jay, how you doing, bud?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, that's way better. All right, what's on your mind?
All right, there we go. All right, so first of all, I just want to say I did vote for Trump, but I'm not in the category of cultist, I guess you could say, because there were a couple of points that you made that I actually do agree with.
Okay.
And the first point that I do agree with you on is when you were just talking about the Protection Bureau stuff.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I don't think it was right to get rid of that. And we need stuff like that, protection for the small guy or the businesses or whatever. So there's not the giants just, swallowing everybody up.
Yeah.
But most, I would say 90% of the stuff with Trump, I do agree with. And I think it's like this. I think when you said MAGA cultists,
mm-hmm.
I view the Democrats as the same way. And I view it like this. Because even though we have the man that we vote for, he goes through primaries. the voters have the choice. We voted him in. With the Democrats, that's not the case. They will tell you who they will put in, and you will vote for them. That's the way it works. So,
but that's not a cult. But that's not a cult. But
it's the same. It's the same mentality, though. There's no difference in the two.
There is, and let me explain that. I was in a cult. I grew up in a cult. I escaped a cult. I'm not using the word cult as like a pejorative. I'm not using it as a way to dismiss or demean MAGA. I'm saying it because of it's the devotion to one man that is the scary part.
I agree with you on that.
Okay,
yes.
that's the part of it that's
that.
culty. So like when we say like for example, you mentioned, and I would agree with you. I don't think you probably qualify for a cultist because I can show you something like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau being gutted, and you're like, okay, that makes sense. The cult ones are the ones that saw what I just presented and said, what about Nancy Pelosi? Right? Those are the cults. So I agree with you, but it's the devotion to one man over the truth, over like verifiable truth. That's
absolutely.
the cult.
I agree with you that. I can agree with you on that. But let me just say this too also, that when somebody, because Trump derangement syndrome, it is real. I'm not saying you have it, but it does exist. And when somebody has Trump derangement syndrome, everything that Trump does, no matter what the case is, whether it's good or not, they're just going to say that it's bad. So it's almost the same thing, just in reverse.
Yeah, sure. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with saying that, but I don't think that that's nearly as harmful. The only reason.
Let's say this.
Because
let's say Trump straight stuff
let me
right
explain
now.
that real quick. Let me explain why I don't think that's near as harmful. I don't think that's as harmful because saying that disagreeing with everything somebody says, like especially when they're in power, it has no effect. But the effect of allowing Trump to do things that are like extra constitutional, that has a real effect. And so the reason I don't talk about it on both sides is because it really only has effect for the people that are in a cult that has power.
Okay, true, but you're basically your premise, like what you're doing, your job, your podcast, or whatever you want to call it, is focused on one thing, which is Trump bad.
No,
Trump voters, cult members.
No, it's not. Look, brother, what else am I supposed to fucking talk about? I cover politics. What am I supposed to talk about? Trump's the president.
Can I give you an example?
Yeah, but real quick, let me just finish that. Trump's the president.
Okay.
The Republicans own the House and the Senate and the judiciary. And so if I'm like, what am I going to cover? Just like the opinions of Democrats? There's no power there. I can only really cover Trump right now. And the Republicans in Congress aren't doing anything either. Trump's the only one doing anything.
I can also agree with you to a certain point on that. There is pushback. We just don't hear about it as much. But to give you an example, Tom Tillis backs Trump 90% of the time. Mm-hmm. He said no to confirming Ed Martin. He said, "I'm not going to happen."
Yeah, I appreciate it for that. I played that clip on my show. I played Rand Paul on my show disagreeing.
And Rand Paul also. So Steve Bannon, totally against Elon Musk. I as well.
I played that.
I'm total. First of all, I've never, even when Elon Musk was, in Trump's corner, I've never been for Elon Musk. I don't like what he's doing. I don't like the sledgehammer thing. Even though they look at federal employees almost like a disease, but they're people with families too. They have kids in college. They have bills to pay. So I think they went about it the wrong way. But let's say all this trade stuff, and China just came out today. I don't know if you saw the Chinese post on their X account, but they said that they're ready to come to the table.
I haven't seen that. Did that come out just in the last couple hours? You said.
Yeah, it came out in the last couple of hours. The Chinese on their official site, and everybody was like, "Oh, Trump, blah blah." No. People forget the U.S. market is the number one stunner. It's the store. It's the number one, and without it, people will wither and die. So China is finally coming to the table.
But that's not true.
I believe that it is true. I believe that it is true.
Well, but do you know that we make up 2% of China, like 2% of China's GDP?
And we also, they sell like 80% of their stuff to the United States.
That's not true.
Well, what's the number? Do you know what the exact number is?
Yeah, I think it's 12%.
Okay, well, 12%, even that's still pretty. That's a good solid amount for a country as large as China.
Yeah, but you said they sell 80% of their stuff. 12%'s a long ways. 12%'s a long ways from 80.
Well, because I just saw something and because they were talking about it on a news station and they mentioned that number, so I don't know which one is factually correct, but I heard you say that and then they said 80.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you look through, I think it's CBP that puts out the numbers. I'm not sure. Might just be. I think it's CBP that puts out the number, but it's 12%.
I just want to say.
Do you know what it was?
Do you mind if I-
just real quick? Do you know what it was when Trump first took office in 2016? Do you know what the percent was?
For what? China selling to us?
Mhm.
No, I don't know.
It was 20%. China has seen this.
20, okay.
China has seen this coming. Like if you look at the trade, like
Well, maybe it was Canada. I'm sorry, Canada.
Canada, yeah,
sells like.
Yeah, Canada.
Okay, but let me just say this though, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So as far as Trump goes, can you admit that there's a lot, like already a lot of good things that he's done?
No.
Okay. Do you mind if I shed light on a couple?
Please.
Okay. So the woman, there was a black woman, and she was sentenced for a nonviolent crime to like, I can't remember the exact number, but it was like 20 years or something crazy for prison. Trump pardoned her. And Van Jones, if you watch a clip, this is just like yesterday, the day before, Van Jones came out and he was talking about this, and he said what a great thing it was for Trump to do.
No, I'd actually agree
her.
there. I actually think there's a lot of Trump's pardons that I would probably agree with. I was thinking more like executive actions, but yeah, I would agree that there's a lot of people that Trump has pardoned that I agreed with. In fact, a lot of the people on the left really don't like that I said it, but I thought the Ross Ulbricht pardon was correct. I thought Ross Ulbricht should have been pardoned. So yeah, I guess there's some pardons and stuff that I agree with.
And as far as like, I don't know how you feel about like the trans stuff, but let me just tell you how I feel. Now, before I say it though, we have to understand one thing. Trump won. I'm not an election denier. Do I think the 2020 election had some funky stuff? Possibly, but they all do. Trump lost. I can say that. Now, Trump won, and he also won with a historic amount of Hispanic, Latino, and everybody else. He won the election. Why do you think Trump won the election?
I think there was a mix of things. I think one, I think that the mass immigration that happened and the rhetoric around that was not beneficial to Biden and then Harris. I think the economy coming through COVID, like people dealt with a lot of tough financial times. So I think people looked at 2019 and they looked at 2024 and they thought, it was better in 2019, so we should go back to that. I do think there's a significant amount of people who, for whatever reason, have a focus a lot on trans people, which is, in my opinion, wild. I for the life of me, I can't figure out.
Why is that wild to me? I want to hear why it's wild.
Because it affects almost nobody.
But it does. It does affect.
No.
Let's say
not
this,
it
because
doesn't
I have
affect.
2 daughters.
Let me ask how it affected you. Not how it potentially could affect you in a hypothetical scenario.
I'll give you an example.
But how has it affected you?
Okay, I'll give you an example. I'm glad that you asked.
Sure.
All right, so I have 2 daughters. One of them is 18. One of them is 10 years old, and she's nonverbal autistic. So I had to bring her. We went to Walmart one day, and there was, a trans person, I guess you could say, that also had to use the restrooms, and they used the stand-up stall because I had to go in there because I could tell it was a man, and I didn't feel comfortable with a man going around my daughter in a bathroom. So because she doesn't know, she's 10.
There's a stand-up stall in the women's bathroom?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. She was standing up to piss,
in a stall. Okay.
Yes. So anyway, I felt very uncomfortable. So I had to go in there and get my daughter because I didn't want her seeing, an adult male's dick inside of the bathroom.
How would your daughter have seen that in a separate stall?
Because the door wasn't fully closed. It was kind of slightly ajar or whatever. And she's 10 years old, and I don't want her just going in there being like, "Oh, who are you?" Because she's autistic.
What does this have to do with trans people?
Because it's harmful to children, the way they teach them in schools.
But
the way
I could just put on a dress and do the same thing, and I'm not trans.
Right, but my point is,
let me
just say this.
No.
Can I just finish my point? Can I just finish my point, and then you can counteract me? Let me just finish my point.
Sure.
Okay, all right, thank you. So now, just bear with me. 20, 30 years ago, every little boy wanted to be a Power Ranger, or every girl wanted to be a princess. The only reason why transgender is such a big deal now, it's because it's being driven into these kids' brains,
No,
and
it's
it's
not.
brainwashing them,
It's not.
and it's causing them harm.
It's not.
And people are getting body parts chopped off or beating them in sports.
Listen, brother.
In Maine, I live in Maine. We just had a male beat every single girl, and that harms all the women who tried their whole life to do good, and a dude just comes in and blows them away. But go ahead.
So what I asked you for is a way that it impacted your life. And what you told me is that somebody who had a penis didn't shut the door in a bathroom.
Yeah, it offended me. I didn't like
Has
it.
nothing.
They should
That's,
use
that's
a,
nothing to
a
do.
non-trans
That has nothing. That has
bathroom.
nothing to do with trans people.
Well, it does though, because
No,
they
it
should have
doesn't.
respect for women and their private
It has
spaces.
nothing to
and
do
they
with
don't have
trans. It has
respect for
nothing.
them.
No, this is the problem. Now you're saying because one person who was trans didn't close the door to a bathroom stall that all trans, like you're applying that to all trans people.
I don't think they're all bad. I'm just saying
No,
that
I
they
said no.
should.
Listen to what I said. I'm trying to help you here. You are applying something that. By the way, I'm not even sure how you figured this out from the outside. Somehow you figured out that a door was open in a bathroom stall from outside the bathroom, and then you ran into a woman's bathroom where you are the danger. By the way, men are the most dangerous people in a women's bathroom. You ran into
Exactly,
the and you ran into the women's bathroom because some.
Need I say more?
Yes, you do. Because how did you know the door was open?
You just proved my point.
How did you know the door was open?
Because a man went into the bathroom and I wanted to get my daughter
How
out of
did
the
you
bathroom.
know the door was open?
Because I went into the bathroom to get my daughter away from the man who went
I think
into the
you're
bathroom.
kind of a creep in this scenario.
You can think that, but I'm a protective father.
Yeah, look, brother. The reality is that the reason we talk about trans people so much is because you guys are obsessed with genitals. Obsessed. You know what?
We're obsessed with genitals.
You know what none of us ever talk about? When liberals get together, you know what we never talk about? Trans people. Because it doesn't fucking affect
fact,
you guys are obsessed with it.
That's all you guys talk
Okay,
about.
let me ask you
Whenever
this
you
question.
see them go,
Excuse me.
Hold on one second.
No, I wasn't done. I wasn't done.
You.
No, I wasn't done. This time you've got to show a little respect.
Okay.
I would challenge you to challenge your beliefs. When you say that children are being forced an ideology at school, I would like a specific example that you can prove of that happening.
The books that they're reading in classes and stuff like that. Oh, I can't remember the name of it.
I asked for a specific example that you could prove.
Yeah, no, I can prove it,
Okay,
but I don't know the name of the book. I don't read the book.
Where was it being read? What school?
All right, hold on one second because
Sure.
I have to look it up. Do you mind? Can you bear with me?
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right, hold on one second. Hold on. I'm looking right now.
I'll check comments while we're going here. I don't know if Jenny.
Gender Queer, a memoir by Maya Kobibi.
Yeah. Now, what classroom was that read in?
Melissa by Alex Gino. Call Me Max.
No, what?
I
no,
Am
no.
Jazz.
Excuse me.
Julian is
You're
a
just-
mermaid. These are all like
excuse me.
trans
You're
books
just-
about
you're
sexual
just-
stuff.
Yeah, but the question I asked is not do books exist? You said they were being read and taught in classrooms. What classroom was Gender Queer being taught in?
I don't know the exact school. I just saw it on the news. And
Can I just tell you the real story so we can stop with this bullshit? Can I just tell you the real fucking
so
story?
you know it. So go
yeah,
ahead,
I know
go
the
ahead,
story.
go ahead.
Yeah, these books are available in libraries, and they're available as resources for.
That's fine. Great. Libraries are great. Wonderful.
Okay, then what are you worried about?
Not in schools.
They're not
Children
in schools.
have
They're in
no-
they're in
they are in
libraries.
schools.
They're not being taught in schools. They're in school libraries.
Exactly, and they shouldn't be in
Why?
school libraries.
What if-
especially
why?
Because they should not. Because kids are there to learn about math and everything else.
They're
and
not
know how
teaching
to,
it. Wait,
you
they're
know,
not teaching it.
Kissing boys.
They're not teaching it. It's in the library.
What's the difference between teaching it or a kid being in school learning it himself with the school property?
The difference is the school is teaching something and forcing it, and learning something on your own is just learning something on your own. And the reason that we pay, hold on, let me finish. The reason that we pay taxes for local schools, and the reason that schools have libraries is so that you can have resources to learn things outside of the classroom. And if you're so concerned about the book, walk down to the school. Don't be a lazy parent. Walk down and go say, my child can't check out this book or this book or this book, and leave it at that. If you have such a problem with it, just make sure your child can't check it out. But the problem I have with you and all this transphobia is you guys think that because you don't believe trans people are real, that nobody should be able to learn about it.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Okay, whatever your view.
I didn't say that.
Whatever your view is, I apologize. Whatever your view is on trans people, for some reason you think that you have the right to tell other parents what books their kids can and cannot read. These are not, none of these books have ever been taught in a school setting. Zero. There are 0 instances of a teacher teaching this. And if there were instances of that happening, that would be on a local level, and you would need to go talk to your local school board about the approved curriculum, which you're allowed to do. I don't think this is not. Let me just give you one more example, and you've heard this example because it was covered. My mom taught at junior high in Utah. And in Utah, there was a staged walkout. It's Springville. I don't remember if it was at Mapleton Junior High or Springville. There was a staged walkout. All the children walked out. And they said they walked out because they were allowing people to be furries, which somehow now we're like conflating with trans people. It never fucking happened. There were kids. There were kids who wore.
That never happened.
There were kids who wore cat ears. I'm telling you, everything you think happened with trans people and kids being indoctrinated, I promise you, if you research all of them, none of it happened. It literally.
All right, can I say my piece now?
Yeah, but every story I've ever looked into has turned out to be a lie. And that's why I say that this hysteria, this obsession with trans people only exists on your side. And the only reason we ever even bring it up is because you guys won't stop bringing it up. I never talk about it on my show, ever, until a Republican comes on and is like,
I got you.
trans
I got
people.
You've had a very long, you went long. Can I respond now?
Go ahead, please.
All right, okay. So, talking about schools and all that, they have like drag story time, which is a lot of schools have done it.
Drag is not, you understand drag's not trans, right? That's a different thing.
I understand that, but I'm just talking about the whole, like, it's all kind of under the same umbrella.
It's not. No.
Like
I'm stopping you right there, because now what you're doing is you're trying to demonize trans people by using people who dress in drag, and I don't see any problem with dressing in drag.
It's not demonizing. It's not. Listen, hold on. Let me just finish. I let you finish all of that. Let me just finish, and then you can say whatever.
No, I have to. Listen, I have to stop you.
Okay, you can stop me.
I'm just
you
explaining.
can stop
Hold on,
me.
brother.
Let me just finish
brother, I'm
first.
just explaining.
Let me just finish
I'm
first.
just explaining something to
Okay.
you, and then you can go on. When you say something that is wrong, I'm just going to stop it, correct it, and then you can keep going. But I want to make sure we understand that what you just did is you shifted from trans people to drag story hours. And remember, we're talking about trans people. So I would like your comments to focus on that.
Yeah, I'm going to tie it all. Let me just get it all out, and then you can. All right. So the reason why, like, a big part of why Donald Trump won is because people are fucking sick. Excuse my language. I don't know if you're allowed to swear.
Yeah, you say whatever the fuck you want. It's fine. Yeah.
All right,
just
cool.
no slurs.
People are so sick and tired of the trans issue, of the drag issue.
Then stop talking about
issue.
it. Then stop fucking talking about it. I can't turn on Fox News for more than 20 minutes without them talking. Stop fucking talking about it. Nobody else is talking about it. It's just you guys. You're mad at us for shit that you won't stop talking about.
Would you agree that issue also helped Donald Trump win?
Yes, but he lied.
Okay.
It was yes, but it was a lie. The whole thing's a lie. Nobody is forcing children to learn about like how to be trans. Nobody's trying to convince your kid to be trans. Nobody's reading these books to your kids at school. Ask yourself this question. Why do the news sources that you watch, why did they lie so much about trans people?
I don't think they lied at all. They just highlighted some issues.
None of those books were read in school, but they all said that they were read in school.
Some of them were.
None of them.
Zero. Some of them were.
Zero.
Yeah, some of them were.
No. Until you can find an example of it actually happening, which I promise you can't, because I spent hours trying to verify if that was true or not.
Yeah, they had one clip where the father, it was an African American father, and he went to one of the school board meetings.
Yep.
And he actually had the book, and he was talking to them, and he was like, "You
Yep.
guys are reading. You guys are having class and reading this shit to my kid." And
They
he
weren't.
started reading some.
Yeah, and they weren't. They weren't reading it to kids.
Yeah,
He was lying. He was lying. That didn't happen. You guys are.
How do you know it didn't happen?
You guys are obsessed with genitals. You are obsessed with sex. It's fucking weird, to be honest.
We're not the ones getting our genitals chopped off.
We're
sir.
not
I'm
talking.
sorry
You
to tell
guys are the
that.
only ones talking about it all the fucking time. And by the way,
Yeah.
So let it be. Why the fuck do you care if somebody is trans?
I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to tell you.
Okay,
This
please.
is why I care. Let's go back. Let's just go back 20 years ago.
Okay.
None of this shit was happening. Why
I
do you
don't
think
care.
this
Let's go back. I don't care about that. That's not
Hold
a good
on,
argument.
Can I finish?
No,
Can I
because it's a
finish?
bad argument. Saying something wasn't
No, you don't
happening.
even know what I'm going to say. You
No.
don't even know what I'm going to say. If we go back like 20 years ago, this shit didn't exist. It only exists now because it's getting shoved in the faces
did
of little
exist.
kids who don't know any better. They
Well,
don't know.
You're out of your fucking mind. Trans people have existed
They
for
don't know.
centuries. What are you talking
no, they
about?
did. Yes. They did exist for centuries, but it wasn't shoved into these kids' faces
Listen,
who are 5
I
years
don't.
old.
I don't know how
You
to.
got-
I
you
don't
got
know how
this-
to. I don't know how to tell you this for the 50th fucking time. The only reason that it is being shoved in anybody's throats is because you guys won't fucking stop talking about it. We're not
What about the
talking
kid
about
who
it. Go to CNN.
What about the kid who
Go to
raped the girl?
MSNBC.
What
Nobody's
about the kid
talking
who raped
about
the
it.
girl in the
No,
bathroom?
wait, hold on.
What about the kid who raped the girl in the bathroom? Was that a fake story?
Why are you cutting me off
Was that-
screen? Why are you cutting me off right now? After all
Was
the
that a
times,
fake story?
after all the times you've begged me to finish, now you're gonna do.
Go
Now
ahead.
you're gonna play whataboutism. You guys won't
Go ahead.
stop fucking talking about it. Nobody else is talking about it. You guys are obsessed. The only reason your kids even know about it is because you and your news sources are goddamn obsessed with it. It's weird. I do not understand why we are talking about less than 1% of the population 24/7. You've watched my show today. I don't know if you've seen it other days. I don't talk about this. The only time I ever talk about it is when Republicans come in and it's all you want to talk about. We were talking about legitimately how Donald Trump is stealing from this country, and you have derailed a conversation about fraud into trans people. It's you, dude. Look in the mirror. It's you.
No, actually, that's not how it went. I believe you asked me a question, or we segued into it somehow. I didn't just come out and go, "Hey, I hate trans people." That's
I didn't
not how
bring it up.
happened.
I sure as shit didn't bring up trans people.
Yeah, no. That's how it came up.
But you-
I was
but
asking
you brought
about
it
the
up, right?
wokeness. But I did ask you. I said, "Do you think that played a part in Donald Trump winning?" And you agreed with me. So clearly, it's
Yes,
a bigger issue than
but
you
what-
think that it is.
No, what I
You
agree-
don't think that it is.
No, what I agreed with is that a lot of you guys think about it and it became a central focus of the campaign. What I don't agree with is this idea. Like when you say, we all did this because you guys are shoving it down people's throats, that's incorrect. We are not. We're not even talking. In fact, we want you guys to just fucking let people live. I like freedom. If you get to say, hey, there's this zombie, there's this guy who lived 2,000 years ago, and then he died, and then he became a zombie, and now he lives in heaven, and we all pray to him. If you guys are allowed to do that, then you can shut the fuck up about if somebody thinks they're a different gender. Right? I don't care what anybody's opinion is on trans people. You guys are fucking obsessed. You will not stop talking about it, and it's hurting almost nobody. And when it comes to trans people in sports, just to clear this up, if you have an unfair advantage in sports, you can fix that without making everybody walk in. Like, how do you fix it? Hey, here's the tip off. It's 5-on-5. All right, we got 5 players this side, 5 players this side. Before we tip off, hey, everybody, show me your genitals. You can fix the problem. I agree that it's a problem in sports. I agree that there can be some competitive advantages in sports, and we can talk about that.
How about their own league?
And we can
What
talk.
about
And
that?
we
Would
can
you
talk.
agree with that?
No, I wouldn't. And we can talk about that. But the
Why
thing
not?
is that
Why?
you guys are so obsessed with trans people that you told this crazy story where, by the way, you illegally entered a women's bathroom for a perceived threat that did not exist. You were the creep in that story. You were the bad, like, of all the people involved in that story, you were the worst one. You walked into a women's bathroom because somehow you inherently knew a stall door was open.
No. You're not saying it right. You're misquoting it. What I said was I knew that it was a man. I knew it wasn't a woman, and he went into the girls' bathroom.
Why'd you?
So I don't know what you're talking about.
So
what
did
do you mean?
So did you.
You just called me the creep, not
Yes,
the guy who went into the
you
girls'
walked
bathroom.
yeah, well, because you're saying it's a guy, right? I believe that a trans person.
Do you have any kids?
Yes, I do, and I believe that a.
You have a daughter?
Yes, I do, and I believe that a trans person is. By the way, Google right now. Are you by a computer?
Well, I have my phone.
Google arrest made child sexual abuse. Google it.
Hold on one second.
Yeah, and I want you to tell me who you see. I want you to tell me, do you see trans people or do you see a bunch of white Christians?
I get,
Who are
I
you
get
gonna
what you're
see?
trying to do. Yeah.
Do you go to
Yeah,
church?
I get what you're trying to do.
Do you go to church?
It depends. When you
Do you
type
go to
into
church?
Google, no, I don't go to church.
Okay,
No.
would you allow your kids to go to church?
If they chose to.
Okay, well
if they chose to.
they're significantly they're far more in danger at church than they are around a trans person.
Well, it depends what church. Because as far as I know, I
Just
think it's Catholics
statistically,
that
no,
that
it's
did the
Christians.
touching.
No, it's Christian. No, Google it. Google it right now. Just Google that. And
No, I believe you on that. I don't
every
care.
search
I'm not religious.
every
I
search
don't care.
result you are going to get is from a white, straight Christian man. And this is why I have a problem with it. If we're going to really talk about protecting children, let's talk about protecting children. Let's talk about the stuff that actually benefits children. The one thing that I know for sure.
You're misrepresenting what I'm saying. I don't think she was going to
get.
get hurt. I don't think she was going to get hurt. I didn't think she was going to get hurt.
What are you doing
I just
in
didn't want
there?
her seeing that. I didn't want her seeing
All right.
that.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
She's
You said
10
you have-
years old. I don't want her seeing cocks flopping from other men.
Well, I don't know, brother. How from the back? Your daughter is gonna. What's your daughter gonna do?
No, I
Stand
just told you. Listen.
outside the door, peek in there,
My
and
daughter,
somehow
she's
see from the
nonverbal
back.
autistic. She doesn't know personal space. Like she'll just
Go to the
run up
bathroom
on
with
somebody.
her. Then go to the bathroom with her. But stop
You
demonizing
just called me a
trans
creep.
people.
You just called me a creep.
I think
for going.
Well, look, if you.
Which one is it? Which one is it?
A creep. You're a creep because you weren't going to go in
Okay,
there
so, but,
until you
but
thought
you
a
just
trans
told me to
person
go
was.
into the bathroom with her, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. But you don't do that.
Okay, then. So
you
so you don't know what you're talking about.
No, because you say she's only in danger if it's a trans person around.
I didn't say she was in danger.
Then why
You're
didn't you
not-
go
you're
in the
misquoting me.
Okay. Either way.
I never said that.
Well,
I
then,
never said
in
that. I
danger
never
of
said
seeing
that.
a penis.
Yes, correct.
All right. Well, then go in with her. Be a better dad. I
Why
don't know.
am I wrong for that? Why are you shaming me
Well,
for,
first of all,
for me not wanting
if we're being honest, because I'm pretty sure you're making up the story. That's number one. I'm pretty sure this is a fake story.
Hold on one second. Hold on. Don't stay right there. Hold on.
Sure.
Hold on one second. Hold on. Never call me a liar, please. I would never disrespect you like that.
The story
Please
doesn't.
never do that to
you
me.
understand that this story doesn't make any sense, though? Like you went in to protect your daughter.
Taylor.
So you saw somebody.
Hold on one second, sir.
Please
Hold on.
Do
Taylor,
not put your
say
children.
hi.
Listen, don't put your children on the phone, please. Please don't
How
do
old
that.
are you?
Please don't do this.
And what's our daughter's name?
What do you mean, what's our daughter?
My daughter's name. Your sister.
Kaylana?
And how old is she?
She's 12.
And is she what?
Autistic?
Thank you.
Okay.
So say
Thank
that
you.
again to me. That I was what?
You were
That I was
lying.
lying?
I'm not saying you're lying about your daughter being autistic. I'm
You
saying
just did. You
No,
just said I made up
no.
that story. Don't
didn't-
call me a liar. I would
I'm
never
not,
call you a liar.
I did not say that you made up the story about your daughter being autistic.
That was my 18-year-old that I was
Brother,
telling you about, by the way.
I think right now what you're doing, and I think you know this, is you know what I said you were lying about, and you're trying to back out of it right now. I think you know that.
I think that you're trying to
you
do-
know goddamn well that I wasn't saying that you were lying about your daughter being autistic. By the way, how do you feel about
So
that?
you're picking-
By the way,
so-
how do you feel about the registry she's about to be on? How do you feel about that?
So hold on one second.
Just out of
'cause I just want to
curiosity.
go back to what you just said. So
Yeah.
you're picking. So out of the story, you just pick out the parts that you want to make me sound like I'm lying, but
Correct.
then say the other parts I'm just telling the truth.
Correct.
What proof do you have of that?
I said I think that you're lying. I don't have any proof. I
You
wasn't
think.
there.
You
Yeah.
think. So this whole time we're talking about factual. You said I'll stop you when it's factual, when it's veers from factual.
Brother, you're spiraling
Yeah,
right
you
now.
can just say
I don't
think,
believe you.
think.
It's fine. I don't believe you. That's fine.
Okay, fine. You don't believe me. But
Okay,
you,
then let's
what
move
proof
on.
do you have? Zero.
I don't have
You
any.
you don't have
I
any
literally
proof.
said I think that you're making this up because it doesn't make sense.
Okay,
That was
then.
it.
So until you can prove me wrong, you have to take my word for it.
I
Is
don't
that correct or
have.
not correct?
No, I don't have to take your
You
word
don't
for
have
anything.
to.
But
You
I
don't
do.
have to.
But I do want to know why you're so obsessed with trans people.
I'm not obsessed. You have been sitting on this phone with me, battling the whole time about. You haven't tried to change the subject one time.
You. This is how it works.
Why are you so involved with it?
I'm
you
not.
have not changed the subject once. You've been sitting here the whole time. You haven't been like, let's get off this. You've been right here with me. side by side.
Yeah, I'm talking to you about it, but I'm telling you, I'm not the one that brings it up. You keep saying that we're forcing it. We're not. I'm
Then
just.
let's get off it then. Okay, fine.
Okay,
let's
but
get off it. Let's talk about another
okay,
subject.
great.
And I did want to.
Let's talk about the registry.
Something
Let's talk about the
you were wrong
registry.
about something.
Let's talk about the registry your child's about to be on. Let's talk about that.
The registry my child's about to be on? What do you mean?
RFK wants to have a registry of all autistic children.
Oh yes, I heard about that. Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
I'm not fully. I haven't fully seen what he was talking about, but I did hear something about that, and I'm not cool with any registries or. First of all, I wasn't even for RFK anyway.
Do you recognize how bizarre it is that you've done all this, research on trans people, which doesn't affect you at all, but your child being put on a registry, you haven't taken the time to look that up?
I'm going to answer that.
You did?
I'm going to answer that.
Could you just let brother? We're getting to a point right now where every time I start talking, you cut me off.
Go ahead.
And I'd like you to
Go ahead.
stop doing that. Thanks. I just want to know why you have all these examples. You've done all this research on trans people, but you haven't researched that your child might be on a registry. Seems like one of those things will affect you a lot more than the other.
Okay, I'll respond now. So the trans issue has culminated like over years, and the RFK issue, as far as myself, I'm fairly new with him. I don't know a lot about him. He just kind of came on the scene. The only thing I knew about him was that he was a Kennedy and that he ran for president. Other than that, I really didn't know much about him.
I'm not asking you to read his biography. I'm asking you you were told that your daughter is going to be on a registry, and you haven't even thought to look into that?
No. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Like, the one issue was years of, paying attention or listening to or whatever.
Listen, I hear you. I heard all that.
I heard
all that.
Let me answer you.
This is the same thing you just said. You just said this.
No, I know, but I'm explaining it to you. The RFK issue.
I don't need an explanation about it. I'm asking you why you haven't looked it up yet.
Because I just heard about this.
You've been too busy to look it up?
Yeah, I work 80 hours a week. I raised 2 children by myself. My kid's mother passed away, so I don't have much time.
It was more important for you to call in and argue with me for 40 minutes about trans people than it was for you to look at. I mean, how much research could you have done in the time that you've been on this call? I'm just saying, don't tell me that you're so worried about your kids
you see what I mean?
all the
cut
time.
Me off. Like,
I
you
wasn't
don't let
done.
Me talk at all.
I wasn't done. You got 2 words in the middle of my sentence. You
you
can't tell me that you're so worried about the safety of your kid, and when a real danger is in front of you right now, a real danger to your child, you haven't even looked it up?
Can I respond now?
Yeah, dude. Go ahead.
Okay. So what I was saying so my kid's mother, she passed away a couple years ago. So
sorry to hear
I raised my 2 kids. Thank you. I raised my 2 kids alone, and obviously the younger one is a lot tougher to deal with.
Sure.
And I work a lot. I work nights, and I sleep most of the day. I had actually just woken up a couple hours ago. So I don't have too much time to, dig into, a lot of different things. Most of the time I'll just go on X and just kind of doom scroll, just bullshit videos, just kind of waste time. But I did hear about this, and it was recently, and I haven't had much time to really dig in and understand what he's talking about yet, but I will. I absolutely will. And even when I do, there's not too much that I can do about it at this point.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out that you've been here, you've done doom scrolling. I'm not trying to judge you as a parent. I'm just saying that you seem to have spent a lot of time consuming untrue stories about trans people and getting really emotional about trans people, and they don't affect your life at all. That person that you were afraid that would hurt your daughter, I hope you understand this. Let me share a story that makes me look bad, so you don't feel like I'm just trying to target you. But we all have biases, and we all have internalized bigotry, maybe misogyny, racism, stuff that comes out that we don't even know necessarily was in there. And I've shared this story before. I live in a fairly calm neighborhood, and I often at night, when it's dark, I go on walks through my neighborhood. And when I pass somebody, I'm never scared. I'm never nervous. But one night I was passing a black person, and I just there was a little nerve there, and I was like, what the fuck? And I had to think about that. And I had to think about why do I think that? And it's because of the conditioning of my life. I've been conditioned through the content that I consume, the people that I've been around, that at night, like the most dangerous person to me is a black person. Statistically, where I live, that's absolutely not true. Statistically, every white dude I walk by is more likely to harm me than that person. So I just had to grapple with that for a second. And sometimes we have to grapple with things that are just true. And the reality is that trans people represent less than 1% of the country. And we talk about them nonstop like they're doing damage. But every time we try and bring up a story like yours, you perceived that there was a potential threat there. And as a father of a daughter, like, I empathize with that. I understand that, like, when you feel your child's in danger, like, not only will you act irrationally, but you might even act violently. And I applaud you for not acting violently, but let's just talk about what really happened in that story. That person, that trans person, did not harm your child. And you perceived, because that was a trans person, that your child was in danger. So you ran into the bathroom, and you have this story of, like, yeah, maybe she didn't want to see a penis, but you're making a weird assumption that, like, trans people are just going to turn around and show somebody their penis. And I'm just saying, like, it's the conditioning, the hysteria that you've been around, and the news cycle, the 24-hour news cycle that's telling you all the time, be afraid of trans people. That was your reaction, and that's human. But part of the human, part of life and part of the human process is understanding what our biases are, understanding are our fears rational or not, and working through that. And I'm just saying that I think you have an irrational fear of trans people, which led you to take that action. And I think maybe you should sit with that and think, like, were they actually in danger? Probably not. But because I've heard all these stories about trans people and how they wanted to brainwash my kid, I'm afraid of these people. There's one person I hope they're here today. There's somebody that went to high school with me that I didn't really know very well, but was good friends with my ex. And when I started doing this, they reached out to me and they just explained how living in Utah in a very Mormon community that is very judgmental, how difficult that was for them, and how they battled with this their whole life. They were never a threat to me. They were never a threat to anybody. They battled with this their whole life. And I just want, like, I understand that for me and for you who are not trans, like, we'll never understand what that's like. But just imagine that you wake up every day and you're like, you know what? I don't know how to explain this, but I look down and there's a penis there, but I don't know how to explain to you that I think I'm a woman, that I feel like a woman.
Yeah, I got you.
And that's what and that's a real thing that trans people deal with every single day. And so I just think I think that our country has chosen to react to those people with so much vitriol, and nobody specifically conservatives want to have this discussion of, like, let's just get to understand what's going on. It's something that they legitimately deal with. Nobody wants to be a trans person. It's a bad deal to be a trans person in America right now. If you're a trans person, like you said, millions of people think even the very sight of you is a problem. Like, I lost one of my best friends. We don't talk at all anymore because he legitimately said that if a trans person was around his daughter, just in the vicinity, he would knock them out.
Yeah, I don't go that far.
I know you don't. And I know you don't. But I just need you to know that, like, this is a real thing that people deal with, and we can have discussions. But what you're doing, what we do when we say that these people are bad and that they're trying to come after your kids, is you're dehumanizing them, and you're saying that their condition or their walk in life isn't legitimate. And what do you do if you're a trans person and you're like, look, I would love to not be a trans person. I would love to feel comfortable in my body. I would love for my brain and my body to match, but it doesn't. And us telling them just fucking get over it doesn't work. I don't know why we've become a country that is so quick to judge people and demonize rather than just show a little empathy. If we can accept,
totally agree.
If we can accept that Christians believe in a sky daddy, certainly we can accept that somebody doesn't feel the way that they appear.
And just to let you know, I've been off the trans thing for a little while, but you've been going on it. So I just wanted to point that out.
Fair enough.
Okay. But anyway, because I got to get off the phone now because I got to start my day. I'm still in my freaking PJs. But there's one more thing that I wanted to point it out before I got off the phone. You was talking about due process, and I just wanted to make there's a clarification. People who are not citizens of the United States of America, their due process is different. Like, literally, by law, it is different.
What law?
Their due process is seeing an immigration judge, which are appointed by the administrations. They're not like, go through confirmations like federal judges and stuff like that. So their due process is immigration judges and stuff like that. They don't get some of the same due processes as in American
Well, yeah, because
citizen.
because it's a different crime, right?
Clear that up.
But only because it's a different crime, right? Like my due process for a speeding ticket is different than my due process if I rob a bank. So it's not necessarily. I just want to be clear about it. It's not because of where they came from. It's because of the crime they're accused of, right?
Right, but I'm just saying that when people say like the Abrego Garcia whatever situation, like he did have due process. That is a fact.
He didn't.
He did have due process.
So if you have,
he was seen by immigration judges.
So if let's say that, let's just put you in Abrego Garcia's position, and there are 3 different times that you're supposed to see a judge. And the first 2 times you see a judge, you get due process, the judge makes their ruling. On the 3rd time, when you have the right to see a judge, before you see that judge, somebody comes and they arrest you and they detain you and they send you to prison. Does it matter that you got due process the first 2 times? Or does that mean you don't get due process on the 3rd time?
Well, from what they are saying themselves, it was that he was a member of MS-13, and he did have battery charges on his wife.
But
he had them. His wife did put a PFA on him. He did abuse her, and he should have been.
I don't defend Abrego Garcia, but what the problem that we have here is that you're saying what they said, and what they said is Homeland Security. Why aren't you referring to what the Supreme Court said?
Well, because there's a big problem with that. A lot of people are interpreting that different. They didn't say bring him home.
They said facilitate.
They said They said if you can. They said facilitate it if you can.
Correct.
But the lower
no,
courts
they didn't.
need
No,
to
no, no.
give
They
him.
didn't say facilitate it if you can. They said he has to facilitate a return.
They didn't say he has to.
Yes, they did. It was an order.
Say he has to.
He did.
They also said in the decision that the lower courts have to give him deference on this whole deportation thing and dealing with foreign policy.
Yes, they do have deference. So the thing is the deference that is given to them is when it's people who it's an illegal immigration thing, right? What happened here is that this person had protected status, and when you remove that protected status, you have 30 days to file an appeal. So he had 30 days to file an appeal, and they arrested him within that 30 days. So he did not get the due process that he was entitled to have. And what the courts have ruled is 2 things. One, that Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act does not appear to be constitutional. And the Supreme Court, in refusing to hear the appeal, said that the lower court got it correct, and you must facilitate a return. Now, one thing to remember, El Salvador has not charged Abrego Garcia with a crime. El Salvador has not convicted Abrego Garcia of a crime. El Salvador says that Abrego Garcia is there at the request of Donald Trump. So if he's only there at the request of Donald Trump, then facilitating means Donald Trump needs to bring him back because Donald Trump's in charge. And what Donald Trump is doing is saying, no, we can't tell El Salvador what to do. And El Salvador is saying, there's only one person who can tell us what to do, and it's Trump. That's the only person we're listening
Trump
to.
Trump said we interpreted it differently. That's what Trump actually said.
He doesn't get to do that.
Because
you don't get to do that. The Supreme Court interprets the law.
They didn't say bring him home.
The Supreme Court
didn't say bring him home.
The Supreme Court interprets the law. Correct?
Did they say bring him home?
They said facilitate.
Did they say bring him home?
They said facilitate.
Correct.
Which means that El Salvador can bring him home, which means that we can bring him home. You really think
Answer me that.
You really think that
why didn't they say it?
Because they can't instruct him directly how to do it.
Okay, so you're basically giving Trump a little bit of latitude.
Just like a judge tells you, you have to be in court on Tuesday, and you're like, well, there was no bus. Okay, well, they didn't say how
they
you
don't
have.
Care. They put on a warrant.
Exactly, which is why they're holding Trump's attorneys in contempt right now.
No, they're not. They're not holding him. They're not in contempt yet. They're not. That's a false statement.
I'm pretty sure. Well, it might be
they're
not
in contempt.
You could be right, but there's another case they're in contempt.
They say it's contemptible. They say it's contemptible, but he's not.
Sure.
In contempt.
Yeah. Okay. So they haven't ruled as contempt, but yeah, that's the thing. Like, look, man, I hate this about Trump. I think Trump forces you to argue really stupid positions. And the position that you're arguing right now is that Trump gets to interpret what the Supreme Court says, even though that's the role.
No.
Can I finish, please? Can I finish, please?
Yeah,
that's the role of the Supreme Court. They interpret the laws. That's their job.
I agree with you.
So why?
I agree.
Just answer this then. Why has Trump not brought him back? Why not?
This is the reason why. Because the Supreme Court in their ruling, and CNN.
No, why? No. I'm
even
asking
admitted
you
this
why
themselves.
Trump
Hold on.
hasn't
I'm
brought.
going to answer
I'm
you.
not
I'm
asking
gonna
you.
answer you.
No. I'm not asking for. Let me clarify the question. I'm not asking you to tell me what Trump's excuse is. I'm not asking you to explain it away. I'm asking you. Let me ask it differently. Do you believe Trump can bring Abrego Garcia back?
Oh, of course he could.
So why isn't he?
Of course he could.
So why isn't he?
Because they're interpreting that Supreme Court decision differently than you are, and CNN agrees with that.
Do you think that I don't give a fuck.
That's
what
left wing.
I don't give a.
That's
I don't
left
get
wing. That's
CNN.
left wing.
CNN doesn't make opinions, brother. That was somebody on CNN who said that. But I would just want to be clear. So you're saying. So you're saying that the president does get to interpret what the Supreme Court rules. It's not the Supreme Court's job.
Well, I think.
Is that what you're saying?
What I think is that I think that his attorney general interpreted what they said.
Does she have any?
Does she have any?
So does the attorney general have the constitutional authority to take a Supreme Court ruling and interpret it however they want?
Well, because their Supreme Court was 100% clear.
Do they? No. They were clear. So what has Trump done?
They were not clear.
So what has Trump done to facilitate it then? What part of the order has he kept? What has he done to facilitate the return?
He said that if he was returned, he would offer him a plane ride.
No,
what said.
What has he done to facilitate it?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm
nothing.
Not sure what
the
they've
answer's
actually
nothing,
done.
right? The answer's nothing, right?
Yeah, but
so is he? So wait.
Though,
so if you agree that he's done nothing, if you agree that he's done nothing, and you agree the Supreme Court says he has to facilitate it, then you agree that he's in open defiance of the Supreme Court, which means he's in open defiance.
You're being dishonest.
I'm not.
Being dishonest.
How's that dishonest?
Yes, you are.
How's that dishonest?
Because I'm going to tell you how. The Supreme Court decision was a little bit vague, and it did not specifically say.
It wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Facilitate is not vague. You just said he has done nothing. But he hasn't done.
Give me the meaning of facilitate.
Okay, but you just said he's done nothing to facilitate it. So are you saying if the Supreme Court's vague that you just have to do nothing? You don't have to do anything? You have to just not. You don't even have to try if it's vague?
Because the Supreme Court didn't say he had to go out of his way to bring him home. They said facilitate. That's all they said. And then they said,
why did they say that?
Give him latitude and longitude.
So in a legal context, facilitate means to assist or help bring about something. What has he done to assist?
Assist.
What has he done?
It's not a direct decision.
What has he done to assist or help bring about the return of Abrego Garcia?
He told El Salvador that if they release him, he would give him a plane ride back.
And you think that is facilitating?
Yes, facilitate. The Supreme Court didn't say get him back now.
So they
made sure to say give him latitude.
Facilitating it is saying, like, I understand that there's a barrier between him getting on a plane and me. And the only barrier between the only barrier between Abrego Garcia getting on a plane and not getting on a plane is Donald Trump. Donald Trump's the only thing standing in the way of Abrego Garcia getting on a plane. Excuse me.
He's not a citizen.
Excuse me.
Not a citizen.
Excuse me.
He's not a citizen.
All right, now you're crashing out. So Donald Trump's the only thing standing in the way of Abrego Garcia getting on a plane, which you've admitted, and you're saying that even though Donald Trump is not telling El Salvador, removing the one barrier to Abrego Garcia getting on a plane,
because he's not our citizen.
Excuse me, that doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. Of course, it does. It's everything. He's an El Salvadorian.
He gets due process.
He did get due process. He's seen 2 or 3 judges who gave him deportation orders.
Yes, and then he had a third case. There was a third case where he was supposed to get due process that he didn't. God damn, you guys are not this fucking stupid. Jesus fucking Christ. This is the problem with our country.
Are you mad?
I'm furious. You guys are not. You are not this fucking stupid. You're not.
When liberals get angry, they start calling names.
Yes, I'm mad.
They start calling
because
names.
I've had this conversation for 3 days.
Down.
No, I'm not. I'm just gonna mute you. You are not this fucking stupid. None of you are. You're literally saying, like, Trump's the only way he can come back, but he doesn't have to. Our Constitution really is just like, you can interpret it however you want. You're also missing the word effectuate. Do you know what the word? I'm gonna unmute you now. Do you know what the word effectuate means?
Oh, you've had me on mute this whole time?
Yeah.
That's a baby move, brother.
Do you know what the word? Do you know what the word effectuate means?
Do you know what the word non-American means?
Yeah, brother. I'm asking the questions here. This is my live stream. What does effectuate mean?
He's an El Salvadorian.
I muted you again. I'm going to need you to tell me what effectuate means. So now you're scrambling. This is why I got mad and said, like, you're not this fucking dumb. You know you're cornered right now, so now you're changing the subject. If he comes back here and he's not a citizen, he'll get due process, and the Trump administration will deport him. And he'll go back to El Salvador. But he won't go to prison in El Salvador. He won't get a life sentence. You're advocating that somebody who's here illegally gets a life prison sentence. Are you?
I never said life prison sentence.
That's where he's in a life sentence. His prison sentence in El Salvador is a life sentence.
Show me. Send me the. Where do I look that up? That
Look
it's a
it
life
up yourself, dude.
Okay, well, I'll look it up.
Okay, if it is a life sentence, does that change? If it's a life sentence, does that change your mind?
I mean, it's hard to say because he's not an American citizen. He's from El Salvador. He's in El Salvador.
Wait, but hold on. El Salvador has not charged him with the crime. He is being held there at the request of the United States. So are you telling me that that if you are here illegally, you should be able, the United States should be able to accuse you of being in a gang and throw you in prison for life?
No, of course.
Okay, so
Obviously,
if it is a life prison sentence, you will disagree with it, right?
Of course, absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
so now I've got a second problem. Now it seems like you're okay with now it seems like you only think people get due process if you think the punishment is excessive. Now you're arguing for, you just said before that, yeah, he'll get to see a judge. So now all of a sudden your opinion has changed on whether he's seen a judge. But now your opinion has changed though. Now he can come back because it's a life sentence.
Well, no. I never said he can come back. I just don't agree. I never said that. And you also said
he
that
should
he got
stay
a
there
life
for a
sentence.
life
That's
sentence.
not fact.
I said
fact.
if he got a life sentence, would that change your mind?
No. You
and
said originally
yes.
he got a life sentence. That's what
Brother,
you said. You said he's there for life.
Yes, that's the terms, bud.
Okay, that's not true. He's not been sentenced to any life sentence.
He hasn't been sentenced to anything.
Right.
He
was deported to El Salvador.
For life.
Well, I mean, it is his country. I don't know if he should do life
in
prison,
but they didn't charge him.
But
his country didn't charge him. In fact, they specifically said we haven't charged him. So you think that this is a good idea that the president can just accuse somebody of being in a gang, throw them in prison for life with no trial and no due process? You like that?
Well, from what I've seen, also he got pulled over and he was smuggling a bunch of illegals in the back of a truck or whatever.
It's not true.
He beat his wife.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I've seen the video. What do you mean?
The video? There's no video.
The video. Yes, there is.
No, he
Go
was
on it right now, and there's a video of it.
He was picked. Dude, that's fake. He was picked up at Home Depot.
That's fake.
He was picked up at Home Depot.
Okay, well, then why was there a bunch of illegals in the back?
There wasn't. That's a different story.
That's him. Abrego
it's
Garcia.
Not.
That's
it's
him.
Not.
That was him.
It's not. That's a made up story. That's a fake story. Do you ever verify any of your stories? Good. Just no. Look. Don't even worry. Go read the documents. Obviously, you did your research. Don't you think that would be in the documents in the court cases?
I believe a lot of it was.
Yeah, and it said he got picked. And it said he got picked up at Home Depot.
And then when I asked his wife about him beating her, she tried to change the subject.
No, you're changing the subject. You read
It's
you
all
read
part
the
of it, bud.
you
It's
read
all
the
part of it.
I know, but you read the court documents. How'd you miss the part where he was picked up at Home Depot?
Of course I didn't read the court documents. What do you think I do? Just sit around reading court documents all day?
Well,
I watched the video. They showed the video on the news. I watched it.
That's your problem. You don't research.
You
anything.
do?
Yeah, I read the court documents
I researched.
live. I read them live.
Of course I researched.
Then why don't you know that he was picked up? Why do you?
Hey, listen. My work's calling right now.
Right,
I gotta go.
Be well.
Yep, be well.
I don't know how they do this every day. Why are you defending an illegal? I'm not. I'm defending the Constitution. This is what's crazy. Like, I don't think that the rules of law should be violated. And I think that if you're here illegally, you should there's consequences for that. But this is different. This is a person being thrown in prison with no due process, no court case, no evidence that they're a member of a gang. He was here, and by the way, that's a good point, Kelly. He was here legally. He came here illegally, but then the United States granted him legal protection. And he had that legal protection up until the day that they just unilaterally removed it and sent him out of the country and threw him in prison with no due process. You think that that's a good plan? You think that's a good strategy, that we just give people protected status here and then just one day it's gone and you throw them in prison? Do we think that's a good way to run a country? This is why I say it's a cult. And that guy, like, this dude spent 45 minutes about trans people, and then we're on to Abrego Garcia, where he admits that if it's a life sentence, suddenly due process matters. You guys don't really care about due process. He had removal order. Oh my God. I don't know how many times we have to do this. What happened to the removal orders? Let's just talk through this with the chat. He had removal orders. He did have removal orders. And then what happened? Can any Republicans in the chat, can you tell me what happened? If there were removal orders, why wasn't he removed? Does anybody know? No, he said it was his work was calling. It was because the courts deemed that he would be in danger if he went to El Salvador. So he was given protected status. And part of that is if you are given protected status and that status is removed, you have 30 days to appeal this. I don't know. I swear to God, like, I think you guys just don't want to know the truth. You just don't. You've all heard this. You heard it 10 times in that discussion. Why do you guys think he got due process? He had 30 days. He didn't get his 30 days. He was thrown in prison. The lack of humanity from you folks is unbelievable. I bet most of you have Christian in your bio too. Yeah, throw a father. Like, I don't think Abrego Garcia is a good guy. I don't think Trump's a good guy. If we're going to talk about Abrego Garcia had accusations about beating his wife, well, so did Trump. But you elected him. If we're going to talk about criminals, Trump's a convicted felon. But see how selective you guys are? When it's a brown person, oh, it's fine. It's fine. We'll take down a brown person. But when it's Trump, you're like, let's vote for him. A white person couldn't possibly be convicted of a crime. It's rigged when a white person is convicted of a crime. But when a brown person's not even convicted of a crime, fuck it, throw him in prison. Who gives a shit, right? Let me check messages real quick. Becky said for being a good fucking person. Thank you, Becky. I think the Republicans here would probably disagree with that. Let's check messages from Jen. There's a lot. Sully says doing as my daddy Jen tells me to. Amy says so his issue is with men. Good point. Propaganda much. Reality is your daughter is in danger from conservative white males and mostly in your family or a place you trust like church or a friend's house. Facts. Your kids, the most dangerous person to any of your kids is a white Christian male. And yet you never do anything but talk about trans people. Dreamliner said this is sick and creepy. I call BS. Katrina said this dude's scary as fuck. Benny says guess full-blown walked into a women's restroom on a hunch. Yeah. What if my daughter's in there? I would have fucked that guy up. If my daughter was in there, that guy might have got in trouble. Amy says drag is dress up and make believe. It's an art. Good point. Yeah, we got to stop pretending drag and trans. This is the problem with the argument against trans people is that you can't make the argument against trans people. There has to be these hypothetical scenarios where schools are forcing it, where kids are being given surgeries without their parents' permission, and where drag is also trans, and where gay is also trans, but going after Christian conservatives? No. They have the right to believe what they want. Pink says, for anyone who needs a peaceful break after the live, check out some Zoo live cams. Amy said, I went to my first drag show in 92. Steven said the caller doesn't remember the 80s or Studio 54. Karina says, I love drag queens. Amy said, because there's about 11 transgender children in sports, they can't even have a team. Gail says, ask the guest which campaign spent $215 million in advertisements focusing on transgender issues. I'll give him a hint. It starts with a T. That's for Trump. Amy Lynn says, I want to point out this guy's only issues are minorities. How is that all at all affecting him? Johnny said, I missed my first message. Now I hear this scumbag. The video, Jen, I don't know, Jen, if you have that video. Dreamliner says, isn't it fascinating that he had time for Garcia and trans, but not about his own child being on a registry? Amy said, just like Trump was found guilty, then won an appeal. Cookie News says, RTP Talks, you can't be this stupid. Wrong, Jay. He spent 45 minutes showing you the evidence. You guys just aren't. That's why I get so mad, and I apologize, but it makes me so mad when you're just willfully ignorant. You guys are not this dumb. You just don't want your guy to be wrong. And you know that. You're not comfortable being wrong. And I want to say for the record, again, like, I don't know why we're talking about trans people all the time. I don't know why it's so fucking hard to just let somebody live their life. I don't get it. For the life of me, I don't get it. It's never us. It's never us. We just want trans people to exist and live. That's it. And you guys seem to have a problem with them even existing. You can't, this is Trump 101. You create a problem that doesn't exist. Trump's president in 2019, he starts talking about migrant caravans that are coming to take over the country. Well, they didn't. He runs in 2024 and he starts talking about how Haitian immigrants who are illegal, who aren't even illegal, they're legal immigrants, how they're eating people's pets, when what in reality the Haitian immigrants are keeping Springfield from going under. The only reason Springfield, Ohio even exists anymore is because a bunch of Haitians came in to cover for the lazy fucks that work there who wouldn't do anything. And they're paying taxes, and they're paying into your schools, and they're paying into your police department and your fire department, and they're working jobs that you lazy fucks don't want to live. If you go look at the demographics of Springfield and you see who's getting government handouts and who's not, guess who's mostly getting the government handouts? White folk. Just lazy-ass white people. This whole thing is manufactured. We're using the Alien Enemies Act to deport people, pretending that we're at war. We're not at war. We're not under an invasion. Crime is dropping. We live in a fantasy world. None of this stuff is real. We have a trade war for no fucking reason. By the way, I can find no evidence that China is coming to the table negotiating. Does anybody have a source on that? I looked. He said Twitter, like China's official Twitter page. I don't even think China has an official Twitter page. What China has said over and over again is like, yeah, we're not going to negotiate at these level of tariffs. And by the way, Trump getting China to negotiate isn't a win. When China finally does come to the table and you guys go, see, that still doesn't mean anything. China still might out-negotiate Trump. China was already at the negotiating table. We've been negotiating with China up until Trump said we're not doing it anymore. So Trump getting, and this, what he does, he creates this thing where you guys celebrate him undoing his own fuck up. Look at Canada, dude. Canada backed down. No, they didn't. No, Trump said, Canada, we're putting tariffs, and Canada said, fuck you. And Trump goes, fine, give me stuff that we already have. And you celebrated it. He just creates these fake events that get you all riled up, and then he solves his own problem, and you guys are like, oh my God, that's fucking incredible. Look at this guy. China has not confirmed active negotiations with the U.S. on trade or tariffs as of the latest reports. I don't see anything confirming that China has come to the negotiating table. I'm going to need a source on that. I don't think I have the sneaking suspicion that's not true. The trade leader of China absolutely said he was not talking to Trump, and they have been there for 5,000 years without the United States, and they will not be negotiating. It's on tape. He said it. They don't need us. Remember, that's, I mean, I know that he recognized eventually that his stats were wrong, but most Americans do think that, like, China can't survive without us. They're just, unfortunately, very wrong. All right, here's the traffic stop. Here's the video we were talking about.
All right, the Tennessee Highway Patrol has released new body cam footage of a 2022 traffic stop of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He is the man, you'll recall, that was mistakenly, according to the U.S. government, deported to a Salvadoran prison. Listen to this.
You got a bunch of people in here, don't you?
It's one for sit, yes. Go back to work.
Gotcha. Where are you working at?
Where?
Where?
San Luis, Missouri.
Missouri?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I'm from to Maryland. So I come in from to
So in the body cam footage, Garcia tells police he was driving the 8 people in his vehicle from Houston to Temple Hills, Maryland, to perform construction work. The Department of Homeland Security says he was suspected of human trafficking. He was not arrested or charged with any crime. I want to bring in Department of Justice correspondent.
All right. Yeah. He wasn't smuggling people. There we go. I like that. I'm going to ask you the same thing I ask everybody. You guys say Trump's done more good in 2-3 months than any other president's done in at least 2 years. What has he done? Just tell me what he's done that's benefiting you. He's deported some people, less people than Biden did. What's he done that's benefiting you? You guys think that like signing executive orders is like him getting shit done. All that stuff can be undone with an executive order. Whoever's president next could just be like, nah, and undo it. He's done nothing. This guy is not, there's 0 bills that have been passed. What has he done? We found waste, fraud, and abuse. He was supposed to find $2 trillion in waste, fraud, and abuse. They found 30 billion, none of it fraud. Just spending that they don't like. And they're probably going to lose a lot of court cases there. They already did in Maine when they froze the FDA funds that were supposed to go to Maine. They already lost that. They've lost like over 100 times in court. You guys are just repeating shit that like Trump sycophants say. You watch Fox News and you see Pam Bondi say, no president has ever done more than this president in 2 months. Notice how they never tell you what he did, though? He hasn't done anything. That's why I'm asking. That's what that guy came up here to talk to us about, what Trump has accomplished. And so far, and what he told us is that Trump has violated the Constitution and that he is worried about trans people. Phones are open for you guys too. If you want to tell me all these accomplishments that he's had. Let me change the gift goal real quick. Thank you guys so much. Go. All right. Rebuilding the wall. Law rebuilding the ball took Gulf of America. You didn't take the Gulf of America. You just named it the Gulf of America. You didn't take anything. We're not rebuilding the wall. Did you think the wall got torn down? What? Bro, I don't know. I don't know what to do with you guys. Yeah, he didn't do any of those things. Let's see what other Republicans have. What are the Republicans saying that he's accomplished? We've named about 30. Name 1-2 accomplishments Kamala has had in 4 years. She's the vice president. Kamala negotiated a trilateral agreement, though, to have other countries help us with immigration. That was pretty cool. Doge fired a lot of people. Did that help you? If you can't cut $1 trillion, then you shouldn't cut 150. They didn't cut. First of all, they said $2 trillion. Then it was $1 trillion. Then they claimed they cut 150 billion, which they lied about. They've only cut about 30 billion. So my problem here is, and they've spent more than that. So this whole like we've got to cut spending. They're increasing spending, and their cuts don't match up. Is that a good thing? You can't say that cutting spending, like they cut 32 billion. That's good. No, it's not. It's not. Some of the like that killed farmers. That left kids starving. And then they took that money that they saved and they just spent it somewhere else. We're spending hundreds of millions on a fucking military parade because God knows we need that. Secured the border in record time. That leads to positive outcomes like less deaths at the hands of illegals. The more people that come here illegally, it seems to be our murder rate goes down. I think what we ought to do is deport conservatives. I think we got to get rid of the conservatives out of here. That's it. If you want to say Trump's done one thing, he's lowered the amount of immigrants that are coming to our country. And I think there's a solid argument that is bad, that's not good. I would say I mean, go ask farmers. Go ask people in agriculture. Go ask people in tourism. Ask them how this is going for them. You just like that they're gone, but it's not a benefit. Thank God they're not here anymore. We can finally breathe. We can't buy any food. All the farms are shutting down, but at least we don't have to hear people speaking Spanish. Amy said the same thing happened to my YouTube husband. YT. Same thing happened to my white husband, football coach traveling in Yuma with 6 large Samoan football players. Searched your van, accused of trafficking. Yeah, I've been there in Yuma. If you have brown skin in Yuma, you're getting pulled over, and they're going to accuse you of trafficking. Can you find the clip of the lady saying Trump saved a third of the population of the U.S. by seizing fentanyl? I played that yesterday. That was Pam Bondi. 50 to 100 million on Trump's parade. Is that all it is? I thought it was more than that. I thought it was like 200 million. Because they were brown, they were legal. Yeah, Trump spends 3.2 million every time he plays golf. I don't know if that's true. That sounds high, but that could be true. Building in Florida is way down. All right, let's get back to the show. We got 15 more minutes. Just a reminder, the last 15 minutes, I'll try and push through this. We are crowdfunded. We may go a little late today. I don't know. I want to show you this. This is the head of the Port of Los Angeles, and this is alarming. We are not seeing imports. And when we don't see imports, that means businesses are losing money. That means businesses are going under. And again, what is there? If a business goes under because they can't get import from China, and Trump gives an exception to Amazon, then Amazon just gets that business. And the business owner, the person who was trying to live the American dream, is left holding the bag. That's what you're really doing. The amount of people who are losing their livelihoods under this administration that you guys don't fucking care about is insane. And it's not even for like a good reason. It's not even for anything that you can articulate. It'll just be better. That's what they keep. It'll just be better.
Just describe for us. Let's take a beat. Really frame it for us. How much volume has just dropped off in the last few weeks?
Yeah, about a third of the import volume, which means give or take about 50,000 20-foot equivalent units gone off the arrivals coming in next week.
From next week is when you expect to see this really hit?
That's correct, and that matches up. The announcement's back on April 2nd, then on April 8th, a little bit of a change on everybody ex-China, Mexico, Canada, and those arrivals are coming at us this weekend.
We'll, of course, dedicate time to your port, but I'm just wondering how you're anticipating this rolls and ripples through the economy from here, how it hits trucking, when this turns up on the shelf. What's the distance, the time from when you see a drop-off in volume and when we, as consumers, see the shortages?
Right, so CEOs are telling me, hit the pause button, right? I'm not going to import anymore at these kind of prices. Let's wait and see. I don't know if it's going to be 2 hours, 2 days, or 2 weeks till I get some clarity. Then hiring. Off the table for right now. Capital investment, pause. And the retailers are telling me that realistically, with even the 10%, I'm going to have to pass it on to the consumers.
So how much is this really coming from all over? It's not just about China. This is about really global trade coming to a standstill until there is a much greater degree of certainty and a much lower tariff rate than even the baseline that's been put out there.
Yeah, when I was last with you all, Lisa, I said global trade's going to slow, economies will follow, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Back in November, so many of us were wringing our hands about 4% inflation. We've just added 10 percentage points to imports coming out of Southeast Asia for our port, and these unbelievable numbers out of China.
How much are you going to see a real decline in dock workers if this goes on?
Yeah, this is the question. So the trucker hauling 4 or 5 containers today, next week, she probably hauls 2 or 3. The dock workers are no longer going to see.
Thanks, Ryan, for donating to the gift goal. Appreciate it. I said we got about 13 minutes left. If anybody can help out with that, it would be glorious.
The overtime and double shifts, they're going to probably work less than a traditional work week, starting right off the bat. Every 4 containers mean a job. So when we start dialing this back, it's less job opportunities.
And what happens if we get a deal?
If we get a deal, it's going to take about a month. Let me walk you through that real quick. About 2 weeks to get the ships repositioned around these major ports, from Qingdao to Shanghai to Xiamen, load up all those containers, and then another 2 weeks to steam across the Pacific to get to us. This is important because now we're talking about spring and summer fashion. So we're kind of at a crux here that we've got to have something pretty quick.
And back to school, which is going to be, I think, very critical when it comes to political pushback for this administration. We have a story out, it was anecdotal reporting as well. We've heard about China quietly starting to exempt about a quarter of U.S. imports. Are any U.S. importers exempting Chinese tariffs? Is there a way to get around the 145%?
Not really. There may be some exceptions, Anne-Marie, maybe a little bit going north or south of us, but realistically speaking, nobody is out there talking a lot about, hey, I got a better deal coming out of China right now.
The Flexport CEO joined us earlier in the week, and he said ocean freight is down 60% from China. When do we see 100%?
Good question. It depends on how long this goes. We heard the reports overnight through Bloomberg that the folks in China are thinking about talking. What does that mean? Okay, great, but we've got to get a move on here. The other thing is that retailers are saying we've got about 5 to 7 weeks of normal inventory in the country right now. Then we start to see spot shortages if it goes on much beyond this.
All right. I may save that video for tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to save some of these videos for tomorrow. Let me go back up. Where is that? Sorry, I'm trying to find an exact one. This is the one I wanted to find. All right, so this is now I want to be careful. I don't know if This is a Bloomberg article about Trump coin, and this is going to lead into what we're doing tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to show you guys about the Ponzi scheme that Trump is involved in, that he is running, the influence campaign, the way that Trump is just openly taking bribes. This talks about a little bit. You remember we talked about like the Trump coin and how they set out, there's a new program where like the top 220 people who invest in Trump's crypto coin get to sit at a dinner with him. This reporting by Bloomberg says that the top Trump crypto buyers are likely foreign. Here's what the data shows. Now, I want to be careful about this graphic here, though. So 76% of these tokens that were held among the top 220 wallets, so the top 220 people who have invested, 76% of those are likely belong to foreign owners because the wallets used in exchanges are not available to U.S. residents. Now, early on, there were a lot of crypto exchanges. I think it was Celsius. Is that the one? Is it Celsius that was the crypto exchange? Or is that a coin? I'm trying to remember the name of it. There was one that got brought down, and one way that they were getting around their deposits is they were saying that for the country of origin, just write crypto, and then it would bypass it, and you could invest if you were in America. So I don't know how much of this is places that they're able to bypass, either through a VPN or because there's a loophole using Solana. I have no idea. What I will say is that 76% of these wallets are at least probably linked to other countries. $16 million, those are the two top crypto holders. That means that Trump got $160,000. No, did I do that right? 1%. 160 times 320, 384, 480. Did I get that right? Is 3%? 3% of 16 million, just under $500,000? 480,000? I might tell me if I did that math right. 480,000 there. 480,000 there. He's picking up 3% on every one of these purchases. So while all these people are funneling money into Trump coin, he's picking up 3%. And when they exit, which they will because this coin is literally nothing, when they exit, Trump will get 3% then too. This is I don't even know if it's a Ponzi scheme. Like, this is just open bribes. Trump is literally saying, like, it's fine. And Trump said something the other day that I think should get him in trouble. Somebody asked him about this, and he said, "Oh, I've been doing crypto for years. I was in on this for years." He launched this like 2 days before inauguration, after the election. He won, and like I think it was 2 or 3 days before the election is when he launched his coin. So that was a lie. This is just a way for foreign entities to pay Donald Trump right now. That's it. These are bribes. How else do you explain this? What does this coin do? Why do we think the president should be able to collect a 3% gas fee? There's no transparency. We don't know. We have no idea. You guys are the same chat that was upset about Nancy Pelosi earlier, insider trading. This is just straight up fraud. This is straight up bribery. This is a straight up Ponzi scheme. And Trump removed all the agencies that even investigate crypto anymore. So if you're in crypto right now, like, I hope you're on the side of the scammer, because if you're not in the know, you're fucked. That's what's going to happen. Trump's going to use this his entire presidency. People are going to bribe him, and none of you care. None of you give a flying fuck. This is crazy. This has never happened. Nothing like this has ever happened. Every other president would have been impeached. Joe Biden would have been impeached for this. You guys tried to impeach Joe Biden, and you could track $0. Remember, the accusation against Joe Biden is that his son was getting donations from money from foreign countries, and that was to somehow them giving Hunter Biden money influenced Joe Biden to do what they wanted. Well, now you've just got them directly giving it to Donald Trump. How did you go from Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Biden crime family to this? And you're all quiet. Someone explain to me what Hunter Biden did was a crime, but this isn't. Republicans got real quiet, didn't they? Republicans got real fucking quiet in the chat. What is this? If this isn't fraud, If this isn't a bribe, what is this? Crashing out. I've been saying this for months. I do like when Republicans accuse somebody of crashing out, that means you don't have answers, Jake. Tell me what it is. If this isn't a bribery scheme, just what is it? You think the president should be able to collect money on cryptocurrency fees? And we don't have to know who sent him the money? You think that that's okay? We're good with that? Hunter Biden gets no show job. Joe Biden give money to Ukraine. What? Hunter Biden gets no show job. Joe Biden gives money to Ukraine. Direct corruption. That's not what happened, dummy. Donald Trump gave money to Ukraine too, but the reality is that's Congress. Congress gave it to him. So Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were controlling Congress. They got the Republicans to vote for it too. And then Joe Biden also convinced Obama to let him do it. So just like everybody was in on it, all the Republicans, all the Democrats. And then they were so in on it together that they also convinced Trump to keep pumping money into Ukraine. But what's this? What's this over here? 76% of the dollars that he has made are coming from foreign wallets. And we're not going to call this fraud. We're not going to call it a Ponzi scheme. Paul says, thanks for all you do in speaking the truth. Leafy says, petition to have RTP keep the mustache indefinitely. I think there's plenty of people that may sign on to that. Jody, thanks for the donation. Valerie said, here's to your goal. Have a glorious day. I loved monsoon season in Phoenix. It's hot and sticky, but the thunderstorms are incredible. Amy Lynn said, what do we get for being top donors? Trump's given some cool shit. Appreciate you guys, said Laura. I don't know, Amy Lynn. We got to figure something out for top donors. That's a good point. Jen and I need to discuss that. How do you get your money online panhandling? Sure. Yeah. Look, why are you guys concerned about my money? I'm not the president. What does that say about you? That when I'm pointing out fraud, still no answers, just ad hom. Obama's campaign was funded by foreign donations. Was it? This isn't, by the way, this isn't a campaign. This is money directly going into Trump's pockets. If you get money from foreign donations for your campaign, which Trump did too. Like, I don't know. Do you guys not know that Russia funded his campaign, that they funneled money into his campaign like nonstop? That's a problem. This is a much worse problem because this is money directly going to him. These are direct bribes. They're bypassing all the regulatory shit. At least with the like campaign finance stuff, there was some transparency, which is why you know that there were foreign donations, because there's no transparency here. Nobody knows where this money's going. And Trump's like, Trump literally on TV was like, that money doesn't go to me. It's like, wait, what? Of course it goes to you. Of course it goes to you. Yeah, like you could read the documents. Everything goes to your corporation. This is just right in your pocket. I'm making money more and more every day. I see you saying that. Titan, here's what I want you to do, Titan. I want you to come up here with receipts of what you're making money on. And if you're doing anything other than like crypto trading, I'd be real surprised if every day your wages are going up. Laura also says fuck Tex, fuck Jones, and fuck older millennial just for good reason. Still nothing on that. Trump coin is not a bribe. Is no government money is given to anybody. What? It's not a bribe as no government money is given to anybody. Do you not know Trump's giving out government money all the time? What are you talking about? He's handing out. We're still sending money all over the world. We're still doing all of that. Explain some of the stuff we're going to explain tomorrow, and I think maybe some of this stuff will become more clear. I'm kind of dragging this out. Is that Trump now has all these same countries, like literally the people who funded 9/11, the people who gave Jared Kushner $2 billion that you guys don't fucking care about. They're doing deals with Trump now while Trump is president. And while there's wars going on, Trump is negotiating property deals. He's saying that he's just going to take Gaza. If you think progressive and liberal are the same, you need to read. That's true. That's true. I'm gonna be here tomorrow. We're gonna explain all this. Republicans, I hope you come back, and I hope some of you guys get some courage to come up here. But I just once again I want this to be very fucking clear. All meme coins are Ponzi schemes. All of them. They all should be illegal. They all benefit a few people, and it's always the people who aren't in the know who wind up getting scammed. Trump is scamming you every fucking day. I've never seen a more confident group of cucks. Donald Trump, you're just sitting in your cuck chair watching him fuck, and you're like, more please, fuck me harder, daddy. He just steals from you. He's not doing anything for you. You guys just have sworn your allegiance to a dumbass. Your life isn't getting better. Our country's not getting better. It's getting substantially worse. We've got real problems with our allies. Wait for these prices to come in. If Trump doesn't fix this shit soon with China, we're talking about 2 weeks before prices explode, before shelves are empty. That's what every expert is telling us right now. If Trump doesn't negotiate this soon, we're fucked. And by the way, whatever he negotiates, China has all the leverage. It's not going to be some massive deal that brings manufacturing back. It'll look like globalism. That thing that you guys like. Remember, you guys are all saying we need to decouple from China. We're not going to decouple from China. China's going to come to the if we get a deal done, China's going to come to the negotiating deal or table. They have all the leverage. They might work out some agreements with Americans. And then what happens to all you guys who said, "Oh, we need to decouple"? We'll be more intertwined with China than we were before. And you won't care. You'll just go on with your day. In fact, what you'll do is you'll be like, "See, libs, fucking told you." No, you didn't tell us. You told us that we need to get rid of China and bring all those jobs back here. And those jobs aren't going to come back. And we're not going to decouple from China. And then you guys are going to still think like, "Oh, we owned the libs again." The only reason you think you own the libs is because no matter what happens, Trump's like, "I won." And you're like, "Oh, well, he must have won." You got to be. We should be better than this. We're an embarrassment on the global scale, and it's time that we got a little more educated. Let me check messages one more time. Namashi said, "Look into the UAE $2 billion Trump crypto deal." That's part of what I'll cover tomorrow. Thank you, Namashi. I just didn't have time to do it today, so that's how we'll kick things off tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Every morning, a weekday morning from 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time. Susan said, "Thanks for a great show." Thank you, Susan. You can find us here on TikTok or Twitch or Twitter, Facebook, and you can find the replays over on YouTube. Make sure to be subscribed with your notifications on. Subscription is free. Access to our Discord is free, where we drop all of the sources from our show every single day. If you do want to support us, we have paid subscriptions on Twitch and YouTube. And like I said, we have a Substack coming soon, and I think that those of you who have followed me for a while and who don't like some changes that we've made, or wish that some of the changes we made could be temporarily undone or sometimes undone, those changes are coming. I look forward to announcing it. I'm going to talk hopefully next week. We'll have the details on that, but we're going to be doing some larger projects, some special projects outside of our daily show, with some real investigative journalism, and I've got some great partners for that, people who want to get together and do real journalism. So hopefully I have an announcement on that next week. If not, it'll be the week after. But thank you guys so much for the support. Once again, you can catch us every morning here. 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time. Take care of yourselves, stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.